Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome, everyone. This is something actually that I've really wanted to do for a long time. I sent out an email to some brothers. Hopefully, they'll be here soon, inshallah. But Ramadan Kareem to my Muslim brothers, you know what I'm saying? Shalom, shalom to those that follow the Hebrew Israelite, kind of thing or whatever like that. Those that say they just follow the Bible. So we're going to have a pretty interesting show, hopefully. If it takes a while for people to show up, I might play some jams. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a whole music is a ROM crew, but I gotta do something in between them, right? So hopefully you guys are having a good day, man. I woke up, I posted a video earlier about the uphill battles and the struggles that every day some people have, right? And real talk, man, it's about putting that first foot forward, man, and getting out of that bed. Goody Mom had a song "Get Up and Do Something." That's one of the best songs that has ever come up, man. Because real talk, man, there's people that like I've suffered from it, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Like when I was younger, that song really hit me, man. Because I'll be sitting in the bed smoking, you know what I'm saying, drinking, chilling in the house all the time. You know what I'm saying? When I was like fresh out of high school and stuff, kicking my feet up, playing video games, hanging out with friends and stuff, chasing girls, and not amounting to anything, right? I mean, I had dead-end jobs, just enough to pay the bills, hustle every now and then, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I mean, really, like, what is, we kind of forget that this is a war that we're going through, right? And in a sense, we always think about wars, there's always armies on the battlefield. There's an inner war inside of you, and that is to become a productive human being to change the environment around you, because the reason that there's always throughout history there's been so much suffering and oppression and quote unquote is because people allowed it to happen. People were so focused on their selfish desires and in particular the amassing wealth and having pleasure, pleasurable experiences. And I think we, especially as Americans, we kind of forgotten that one big part of the early people that were here, life was more than that. You know what I'm saying? We were connected to nature. We were connected to each other. We had more of a collective society, but unfortunately over a period of time, for various reasons, American culture is now obsessed with hyper individualism, hyper materialism, hypersexuality. And I use the term hyper because all those things in of itself aren't bad, but too much of anything is a bad thing. Even with Islam, you know what I mean? Like, I love the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But even the Prophet, in various hadiths said, do not be extreme in your religion. Right? There's a really good story where he talks about there was a kid. He was asking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam how many times he should pray a day. And the kid was, so the Prophet was like, how many times do you pray? The kid was like 50 something. He was like, the Prophet was like, well, like 50 is like, that's a lot, and then he was just like, the kid was like, oh, what about 40, 40? Well, that's quite a bit, 30, well, that's still kind of a lot. And then so he kept on doing that number, and then eventually it came down to 5. This is like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it's mandatory to do 5. You can do as many as you want, but there's more to life than just praying. And that really hit me really hard because we always talk about extremism, quote unquote, and extremism, it comes from Islamic fundamentalists and stuff like that. I mean, to be honest, I don't even know what that means. You know what I'm saying? Like the fundamentals, like what would be secular equivalent? People really can't think of it because you only see fundamentalism applied to religion, but fundamentalism can be taken in any philosophy or any political philosophy, right? I mean, leftists and liberals, one consider there's liberal fundamentalism, which there is. I mean, in particular, liberals love to, what they do is they use the propaganda from the media, corporate media, the entertainment industry, to convince you what you should believe in what you should stand for, what you should wear, how you should talk, you know. And this was like actually the entertainment industry was really influenced by Sigmund Freud, and Sigmund Freud had a protege. I don't know what the guy's name, but look it up. This protege is the reason why diamonds are considered the things for the people use for the engagement ring. Prior to that, diamonds were not considered valuable and the symbol of engagement rings. People just use traditional gold rings or silver rings, right? There's a reason that happened. It's because this guy said, you know, the diamond industry would go to this guy and they were like, we got a product and we need to sell it. How we're going to sell it? Well, people, you know, the diamond is forever. Like, you know, it does have this everlasting value, quote unquote. It's rare, all these different things. But in of itself, they are completely valueless. You know, they were valueless compared to, you know, gold and silver, which is gold and silver are used to basically back currency. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. You know what I mean? So I'm going to keep this up for a bit, and if I see people that come in, hey, what up, man? Beef and Brock. He said Edward Bernays. I don't know what that means, man. Oh, you're talking about the guy that freaking worked for Floyd, right? Is that what you're talking about? You know what? Actually, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. If you want to explain that, man, by all means, come up here, man. But yeah, there was a dude that worked there was a protege of freaking Sigmund Freud that worked with the diamond industry that convinced us to use diamonds as the symbol. What up, the bishop? What up, man? It's filling up, man. Thanks for coming in, man. I really appreciate it, man. I've been wanting to have you on in particular for a very long time, brother. Your content, man, you've been doing going milestones, bro. I really like what you've been talking about, man. You've been talking about herbs and stuff. Dude, I'm really big into herbs right now. You know, I take spirulina as much as possible, man. It's like a sea moss. Boy, that gives me just as much energy as coffee. We're life, you know what I'm saying? And to talk about spirituality, I remember you did a stream where you mentioned that like people are angry at God. They blame all their problems at God. It's kind of like some people they make cop-outs, right? It's like kind of the same people they blame white people for everything. Oh, I didn't get the white man holding me down. This is the reason that this, that, and the third that I can't get a job. I can't do this. Or that some people blame their parents. Oh, my mama didn't do this. Oh, my dad didn't do that. Granted, man, hey, trust me, man. I had a fallout with my dad, with my pops. We don't even talk anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I know what it's like to deal with those kind of issues, but I would never go up to him and give sole blame on all my problems in life based on my experiences and how he raised me. That's a cop out and an excuse to excuse the failures on my behalf and my accountability. He may not be accountable to the things that he's done or hold accountability to himself, but I, as a man, had to take accountability for my actions. You know what I'm saying? So I dropped the link, man. You know, feel free, guys, to come on. I'll try it one more time. I don't know if it's working. Sometimes let me know if you see it, because sometimes with StreamYard, I'll try to share and invite people on and it won't work. You know what I'm saying? So so people don't take out time to kind of question things, man. And I think lack of spiritual values is for the reason, like there's that saying, you can't fool all the people all the time. And I think that's why they really kind of like, you got to get bashed, and they use like intimidation tactics and shaming language to kind of make you feel ashamed that you kind of think for yourself. And in that sense, they try to paint you because you're spiritual and you have those kind of values. They're considered outdated values and things like that. They're not quote unquote progressive. In the term quote unquote progressive in and of itself is just mind boggling. Because I think a lot of the stuff we actually do these days is ass backwards, ironically. You know what I'm saying? The food we eat is garbage. You know what I'm saying? If you look at relationships, marriage is on the decline. The birth rate's on decline. They call that progression. Isn't that crazy? You ever think about that? You ever think about that? You know, I looked in the news the other day. There was a family in Texas. It was a Muslim family. The two brothers, they left Islam. They became atheists. And what they did was they suffered from depression. So not only were they no longer religious, but they suffered from depression. So what they did is they killed their whole family. They were going to kill themselves, but they say we can't just kill ourselves because our parents and our family are going to be sad for us, and so we need to kill them too. I mean, think about that, bro. The bishop, what up, man? It's the God right now. You know what I'm saying? What up, man?
Hey, what's good? How you doing?
Chilling, man. Hey, it's an honor and a privilege, my brother, to have you here tonight, man. Or today. Sorry, it's not tonight. Because, brother, I've been trying to link up with you for a whole minute, and you've been making moves. So I don't blame you whatsoever, brother, to do this thing. I mean, you got the YouTube game on lock, and you're obviously doing things maybe on the entrepreneurial side or professionally and things like that. So you are no obligation. I know I've been blowing you up with emails, but you don't want no obligation if you got other things to do, man. You know what I'm saying? Take that cake. You know what I'm saying? Do what you need to do.
No doubt, man. I appreciate all the love and support from you, man. I definitely wanted to come through when I had time, because I'm like, when I have time, I definitely want to come through and support you, because you do actually keep up the content. You know, giving me nothing but respect, and I respect you as well, man. I be catching some of your videos too. I'm like, dang, I hate I missed it, because you do be having great, you know, great topics that I'll be like, oh snap. I'm like, that's actually a good question he asked. So I appreciate all the love, support, man. Salute to you.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Likewise. So I got a question for you, brother. Now that I have you up here, and I'm pretty sure I asked you this in the email. What do you think is the spiritual state of America?
The spiritual state of America has been on decline since the inception of this country. Now, it tried to pick up with better values, and it kind of masked itself with better values, but behind the curtain, there's always some deviancy and a lot of crazy stuff going on, which is, it needed to be uncovered. You know what I mean? And the sad part of the uncovering is it actually starts to kill people's soul and spirit in the process, because people that once had faith in a person, they found out that they were wolf in sheep's clothing.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of deviancy going on since the inception of this country. And I'm not going to say that, I'm going to say the beginning of the creation of this country, because there were people living here before, like indigenous people and Native Americans who are not Indians, but they're Native Americans. And they were already inhabiting this land already. They were already here. So you had a group of savages came over here, killed them, and it took some people from another
savages.
Right. And you had other people from another part of another continent take another group of people and balk them from a group of people that couldn't stand another group of people within their group, and balk them and treat them like animals and less human. So it's almost like a cluster mess of a bunch of foolishness that it was bound to blow up. And right now we're seeing the remnants of the explosion.
Bro, man, when the show is over, bro, that needs to be a clip right there. What you just said, brother. You just dropped some major bombs, bro. You need to teach. You need to and I'm the one to study to be a teacher when I get out. You know, I'm in the military right now, but I get out like next year. My passion is, the youth, especially young black boys, bro. Our black men, the future black men of this country, are being left behind. You know what I'm saying? And I know what it's like. I never saw any black, in particular, history teachers. You know what I'm saying? It's always a white man telling you about your history, and all you know is that you were some kind of monkey in Africa, uncivilized. You know what I'm saying? And the white man gave you clothes on your back. You know what I'm saying? That's all I knew. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? And my pops, even though, you know what I'm saying, we had a falling out, I will always respect that I had a strong black father, a strong black masculine father that taught me self-respect, that gave me a knowledge of self about our history. You know what I'm saying? So I was self-educated in that sense. and that inspired me to seek more knowledge for myself about who we are as a people. And I say this all the time. I think melanin. I'm going to use the term melanated because I hate, the term black is just a color. And you know what I'm saying? I'm a dark, brown. You're saying you're a mid-tone brother. You know what I'm saying? Like we got all kinds of shades. You know what I'm saying? So we're not quote unquote black in of itself. So I'm going to use the term melanated for us to describe us during this conversation. But melanated people are the most spiritual people on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to have such a high connection to nature, ourselves, and all the different things. Like I talked to a lot of African brothers, especially Caribbean brothers, South American brothers, and all of them all their cultures are linked with one thing that's considered important, connected to a spiritual self. And I'm not going to use the try to get this channel flag, but we know there's one group of people that colonized the whole world that their main agenda was trying to take those people's spiritual values away, because that when slavery happened and colonization happened and oppression happened, the only thing that kept those people with hope was their spiritual nature.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry, I thought you were done. No, go.
I was gonna say, especially in particular, I look at the Haitian Revolution, right? In Haiti, they look at voodoo as being like all this wicked stuff, right? But the voodoo, that they were doing was the traditional African practices that happened over in Africa, right? And so they tried to introduce Catholicism to them, and they actually got the Catholicism and they mixed it with their own thing. So they had like a Black Virgin Mary with a black child, you know what I'm saying, and all that stuff. That's what they were praying to. And so the rebellion literally started because a voodoo priest, there was a lightning storm, and the voodoo priest said that was a signal for them to rise up. You know what I'm saying? And the rest is history.
That's facts right there. I was going to jump in to say that, like what you're saying, that we always had a value system, and it's almost interconnected to our melanin skin. We definitely always believed in a higher power, something greater than us. And we always believe in structure and things of that nature. But when it was flipped on us, and the first thing, if you ever want to take a person captive and you want them to take on your identity and start to worship you, what you do is you take away their spiritual nature, which is their which is knowledge of yourself. So you take away their self-esteem, their values, how they feel about themselves, how they see the person next to them, and this is how you can develop self-hate within a person. And then whatever looks like them, they'll hate it as well. So it would be a continuous snowball. So the first thing they have to do is strip you of your spiritual nature, which is understanding self and knowledge of self, and have a connection to a higher power bigger than yourself. So when they strip that away from you and you strip your self-esteem, all you have to do is what ends up happening is you become codependent, and you start to depend on something that was, quote unquote, I'm here for you. That's what most slave masters did to slaves. They pretty much say, I'm your God, you depend on me, and I'm all that you need, and you're all in all. This is why you have folks in the system where they can say, you know what, all I'm going to be for the rest of my life is part of the welfare system. There's nothing wrong with the welfare system if you utilize it correctly to get back on your feet. But when you say I'm a dependent and I need to depend on something for the rest of my life, then that's when you start to become slave-minded, in a sense.
Yeah, brother. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, I think about that too. And although my family struggled, they kind of prided themselves that they didn't accept welfare, because when you there's a saying, to who you give your money is to who you give your power, right? We were kind of raised off of that, and that can go vice versa. The people that give you money are the people that have power over you. And you think about, you work and you have a paycheck, your boss has power over you, that money stops flowing to you, and you're out of a job, you got to find a new place to live, and you suffer all those financial difficulties. And it's sad because with this pandemic, it's kind of really exposed what the government has been doing it for a long period of time, even more with these stimulus checks, bro. And granted, man, hey, I got my stimulus check like everybody else. I put into savings, you know what I'm saying? I try to spend it wisely, you know what I'm saying, to prepare for hard times. But one thing I noticed is this is crazy. Like, people have been out of work for a whole minute. There's people facing evictions. These obviously aren't enough for that. And I think they're going to keep just doing this until they can get actual a system to do this on a regular time frame. And they're not going to care about these jobs coming back because automation is happening. You know what I'm saying? So you look at any Walmart, any grocery store, you got self-checkout and stuff. So there are some jobs are not some of those jobs are not coming back. And there's going to be like another welfare state where there's going to be people permanently on some kind of like stimulus check, kind of like payment system. And there's not going to be that upward mobility anymore.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny that we got so far to where we don't value certain human beings. Now we don't value human beings, period, to where now robots are starting to take over as being the new humans because, you know, they see us, quote unquote, we're flawed. So let's get a being that actually, you know, follows the rules to the T. Because now you see like some of the influencers they're now pushing AIs as human beings. I don't know if you've seen that. Now that we're talking, since you brought up automation, have you seen that? Where they're trying?
Well, I'm sorry, brother. I know what I've seen is overseas. Believe it or not, man, I'm not trying to get this conversation dirty or anything like that, but this is real talk. In the countries where those sex dolls are getting big, they're making AI sex dolls, right? There's already countries preparing to give these sex dolls rights, like because they're like being like, oh, people are gonna like rape them and do all this other crazy nasty stuff, and child molesters are gonna want to get their own children's sex dolls. You know what I'm saying? So they're literally creating rights for an inanimate object. I mean, that's so crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's very crazy, and also they're now trying to get. I don't know if you've seen the influencers. This one AI came out. He's trying to over top, I guess, be the greatest influencer on TikTok, more than James Charles, and you know he's a huge influencer. But this AI, he's almost like a hip hop artist type of thing, and you have people referring to him as a person, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's really crazy. And remember the old folks started saying one day machines are gonna take over. Well, we have arrived.
And I tell you what, bro, some of the stuff as a kid that people would laugh about and just be like, dude, that's some ludicrous. We used to watch the sci-fi movies about the future and stuff, and everybody be like, man, that's never gonna happen. That's crazy. I actually saw, believe it or not, an episode of Star Trek, what's called Deep Space Nine, the one with the black captain. And there was an episode that takes place in 2024. And it's supposed to be the quote unquote the future, but because it came out in the 90s, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
2024 is 3 years away, right? It's crazy to think that. But there's an episode where they go back in time, and basically there was an incident that happened called the San Francisco riots of 2024. And this is what helped push for universal health care across the world, universal income, and all these things, because there was like an economic crisis that happened. And all these people in San Francisco literally lived in these like slave-like projects. They were unemployed. So the government said, hey, come live in these projects until we can find you a job. So they basically were treated like cattle. And they were like fed, terrible food. Basically, they were told what to do all the time. It was basically like a prison. And so they rose up and they held people hostage in the projects. And the government came in and killed a lot of people. And if the rebellion failed, but what it did was the politicians afterwards were afraid of another one happening all over the country because people were threatening to avenge those people. And after that, the government finally relented, and they didn't want a revolution to happen. They basically created universal healthcare, universal income, advanced technology, free college education for everybody, and stuff like that. Whoop de whoop. And it's crazy to think that, man, because I live right outside of San Francisco.
Oh, you're not too far from me.
Yeah, bro.
I live in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I ain't trying to dox myself, but I'll say this: I live in Vacaville. That's the most I'll say.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know where you at. No doubt, man.
Yeah, because the internet crazy, bro.
I'm on the other side of the bridge.
Word, man. It's a small world, brother.
It
bro,
is.
And especially you live in Cali, bro. You already know how Looney Tunes is over here, bro. Like real talk, bro. The craziest thing that happened last year that went under the radar was that child sex law. You see that, man?
Yeah, I did.
That is crazy, bro. And nobody, I mean, no celebrities were talking about it. Nobody, bro. And that's one thing about this pandemic. I don't think this is a quote accident. I think this is like, kind of like a blessing to those people. You know what I'm saying? Like they were like, oh, we're going to use this as an excuse to get away with this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm. It just, I don't know. I don't expect celebrities to talk on anything. They're going to talk about what's on the agenda from their puppet masters and things of that nature. And it's just, you like you said, California. California is liberal Looney Tunes, and
it's Space Jam.
Yeah, exactly. And my issue is this: like, people want to say respect people's boundaries. Well, respect my boundaries if I don't want to share no bathroom with no woman. I'm sorry, I don't. I'm sorry. I know. The sister or the brother transitioned over to being the opposite gender, and they felt like they're in the wrong body. I hear what they're saying. Do I agree with it? No. But I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, you're infringing on other people's rights who are traditional. Because let's not forget, there's more conservative people than liberal people. Now, nice. I know you're trying to liberate the female mind, and you got her, having feminist ideology, which is whatever, that's her right. So she want to have, feminist ideology. But if you ask the average woman, even though they be spouting all them liberal ideas, if you ask the heterosexual woman, certain ideas, she's going to give you conservative ideas. She's still going to want a man to be a man. Now it's different if you're asking a woman who is, who's part of being the bisexual class or, the lesbian, realm. You're going to get a different mindset. Mm-hmm. But if you ask the average heterosexual woman, she's going to give you conservative ideologies. She said, I want a man to open up my door. I want him to respect me. She's going to throw in little stuff here and there, but she's going to tell you that she wants a man's man at the end of the day.
Facts.
So, people can miss me with all this goofiness. There's always going to be more traditionally, there's always going to be more more people that are more on the conservative side of the fence, where they're going to say, okay, well, we can sprinkle a little bit, we can do a little bit here, but no, that's going too far. You're always going to get that. So I don't get why people play crazy.
Brother, you do, man. You're on the right wavelength. So I'm a little nasally because of my surgery or whatever like that. So, time to time, I'm going to be like slurring a little bit because I can barely breathe out of my nose.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So what I got to say, man, is what's crazy is social media is kind of hiding this, but there's a wave of women that are straight heterosexual women that are resisting, even a few lesbians that are resisting the whole trans agenda because they're being like, we're going to be replaced, right? Mm-hmm. And in particular, they're working on right now, like scientists are in their, laboratory doing their mad scientist thing, what I'm saying? Trying to basically create an artificial womb in order to put into like trans women so they can be able to have kids. And a lot of feminists and like lesbians were basically felt threatened because they're like, oh, these guys are going to become us and then get vaginas and then be able to have kids. Well, you know, we already have fertility problems to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of women, they don't want to have kids until like they're 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to be able to replace us. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the reasons, like, they don't want to talk about this. A lot of the reasons that people go the other way, like men go the other way, is because they're raised by women. They pick up feminine characteristics. And then men, I'm going to be honest, bro. I love women. I love them, bro. But they hard to deal with. They're hard to deal with, bro. And if you notice something, bro, since I live outside of San Fran, my older brother actually is gay. And you know what I'm saying? So I can attest to this. Men in general are easier to get along with. And trans men in particular, they go out of their way to hypersexualize themselves because they want validation from heterosexual men, right? That's their ultimate validation. So, man, I mean, if you give them working vaginas, it's a wrap, bro. Like a lot of these guys out here that are closeted and stuff like that, and they won't admit that they're taking up these he-she's in the bathrooms and stuff, bro. It's a wrap.
That's crazy. That is real crazy.
What up, Go Professor?
What's up, Go Professor? You playing music?
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for blessing me to be in both you guys' presence. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother.
Peace to you, the bishop.
Peace
brother.
to you, Go Professor. You came in here like Midnight Love. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, what's up?
I didn't know you guys could hear that.
Well, that's what's up. You had your theme music ready.
Yo, Go Professor, man. I like them tunes, man. There was back at home, there's an old school R&B station, and Sundays they play gospel the first half of the day, and the second half they play what's called the Quiet Storm. You know what I'm saying? And that's how the intro of the Quiet Storm is, like a female voice. It's the Quiet Storm.
Right. I love that station 102.9.
Yeah,
I remember that station.
Yeah, you guys, we all are in Cali. You guys are up north, I'm down south. But I'll be up there all the time. I've said that. So yeah, we Cali boys over here.
Yeah. I'm a Texas native, but slowly the Cali's gotten gotten a little bit of me, man. You know what I'm saying? I gotta say this, bro. What happened to Cali rap, bro? Y'all had hypey, y'all had the LA gangster stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same anymore, bro.
E40 is still there, baby. What you talking about?
Right.
What you talking about?
I already know, bro.
E40 and them Bay brothers are still going strong. You know. Yeah.
It's just like one thing about hip hop these days, unfortunately, and then we can go back on topic if you guys are like, what's it called? Is that there's no regional sounds that much anymore. Everybody wants to sound like that picked up the trap style from the South and kind of ran with it. You know what I'm saying? Like since the South took over, everybody wants to sound like the South, except for like Chicago where they got that drill thing going on. But besides that, man, honestly, I listen to dudes from New York that sound like they're freaking from Atlanta. It's crazy.
Well, I would say that a lot of times people go where they think the music is going and where the money is at that goes along with the music. I mean, if you look at it, remember Snoop was West Coast, and where did he end up at? Down south, right? Because there was money there down there. People tend to go where the money's at. So some New York cats will be down south, or south will be going to New York. Or you remember when Ice Cube went East Coast? I mean, we know the politics of it, but he went East Coast, right?
I remember that.
I'm just saying, people tend to go where the money's at. If they think it, Snoop started bouncing, right?
That's facts.
I'm just saying.
That's factual.
Like, Snoop, you bouncing? that was a Hey in the Barn type deal going on. You remember that song by them boys down there? They was bouncing. so stupid. Started bouncing. He got paid to bounce.
and you also got to remember, all Black people roots come from the South. So you have people that's in California. Most of their folks come from Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Alabama.
Yeah.
Then you got
Georgia.
most people that Georgia. But then you have most people that are from the Midwest. Their folks came from Arkansas, Mississippi, and
North
there's
Carolina.
like different places. Yeah, in North Carolina. And then you have people who are on the East Coast. Their folks came from Alabama, Florida, Georgia, over there on that side. So they all went to different places, which is pretty unique. How they all went to
I would just say that we are the originators of the word migration.
Thanks, man.
We are the originators of that.
That's fact.
I think about migration. I always think about birds, man. And I don't know if you guys ever saw The Wiz. Remember The Wiz?
I've never seen it.
And the crows were black. So everybody in the movie was black, but the crows was black. The Michael Jackson scene, the crows were messing with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
So whenever I see crows, man, I always imagine that there's niggas hanging out, saying on the poles, I'm like talking shit, saying, oh nigga, what was going on? Whoop de whoop, saying they're just all chilling and shit.
Yeah.
I never got into the Wiz. I just don't like musicals. The only one I went with was with Eddie Murphy. Dreamgirls or something like that?
Yeah, it was Dreamgirls.
Eddie Murphy and what's his name? Comedian. I forgot.
Oh, Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx, yeah. That's the only real musical I would watch a few times, but other than that, just not into that. Just tell me the story. You ain't got to sing.
Well, it was the rendition of The Wizard of Oz, and they had number singing the original.
I don't want to hear all that singing, man. You know what I'm saying? just go down the road. Get to the point, man. You ain't got to sing about it.
Ease on down the road.
He's on down to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Listen, he's on down. Let's have a conversation. You got to sing about it.
It's funny. They need to do a new version, man. They can have Obama be the wizard. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's going out to Washington D.C. Saying like a Million Man March kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? That and then the police pulling them over.
Hey, Zaki, I'm looking at your logo, brother, and I humbly asked you to explain it to me.
Okay, yeah, man. So I'm a big fan of art and symbolism in art. So there was a wave of art called surrealism, right? And you probably seen surrealism. One of the biggest guys that did surrealism was Salvador Dali. He did like the melting clocks and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you ever seen a painting with like clocks melting. Well, that was that's surrealism. So anyway, the artist that did this, this icon is from a bigger portrait called The Lovers, right? And it's two people. It's supposed to be like two people. It's supposed to be a couple. Obviously with like a veil or like a pillowcase over their heads, kissing. And what it's basically supposed to symbolize is two people that are in love still don't know each other.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I look at this, and mind you, I don't want to come across like I'm going at your logo or anything like that. But when I look at it, you guys remember there was a lot of black characters back when that were used to demean brothers, right? Black men. He had the watermelon and he had the big pink lips and he was black, right? So when I look at your logo, it kind of puts me. It takes me to that picture, those pictures, those cartoons. Now, mind you, I don't want to come across negative. I I'm just saying what it reminds me of, because it's a dark, it's a black man with a white scarf on, and from those cartoons, we've seen quite a bit of the negativism placed on the black man, and we've seen him, with them, as I said, with the watermelon and the big pink lips and how he talked and all that stuff, right? So that's why I just asked about it, because it just reminds me of that.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that opinion, brother, because I'm always willing to hear people's opinions and criticism and stuff, and you're more than welcome to have those views.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, both of the characters in the icon are actually white. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if the color looks like weird on it, but both of the characters and in the original portrait are white.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I kind of figured it was white with the woman's arm.
Yeah.
All I see, I can't really. All I see is a black guy with a scarf. That's what I see. I mean,
oh really?
That's it.
Oh
that's
no! You're talking about the icon up there on the right, the upper right. Okay,
yes,
that's
sir.
actually some rich history, right? So that is a variant of it's supposed to basically make fun of the flag of a small island off the coast of France called Corsica.
Okay.
Corsica is where Napoleon is from, right?
Okay.
And Napoleon hated black people, and when the Haitian Revolution started, he basically, one of his quotes was, "I never wanted to see the match of blacks in this world." So when the French went back and tried to erase Haiti, they committed all kinds of atrocities and stuff. But it's ironic because the flag of Corsica originally is this figure right here. And at first it was, the blindfold was over his eyes and his ears, right? And it was to symbolize, we fought the Moors and stuff like that, and the Moors colonized that area, right? So ironically, Napoleon probably had black ancestry, right? So there was a lot of controversy behind that. So about 20 years ago, the flag of the people of Corsica voted to make a new flag because they were like, "Oh, this flag is kind of racist," right? So they moved the mouth down because they thought it would look better. And ironically, it looks honestly a little worse. You know what I'm saying? Because they thought they actually were like, we want to look more respectable for the black people, this, that, and the third, but it kind of looks, you know what I'm saying? Like a little worse. So it's kind of like the irony of it, you know what I'm saying? But that racist people that have black ancestry, they thought they were trying to basically honor black people by, moving the handkerchief down, but they move it over his mouth, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of looks like he's either like a bandit, you know what I'm saying? or something like that, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's why I said, I said what it reminds me of.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about the avatar for my profile. I completely forgot I had that up there on the upper top right.
I was speaking about your logo.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So just I just look at certain things, and then I ask the question. I'm interested. Nothing. I mean, it's your logo, and I just
I'll tell you what.
Ask the question.
No, it's cool. The next time that I do a stream, I'll show you the original to see what you think in comparison to it. Yeah, whatnot. But I guess we're kind of going a little off the rails here. You know what I'm saying? So real talk. The conversation, I guess, basically the main topic, and where we're kind of going, I guess, a little earlier was elaborate on the spiritual state of America, and in particular, black people are the heart of America. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, we're the heart of this country. We built this country. Our blood was shed here. American culture really is just a manipulation of black culture. You know what I'm saying? From the food, to the dances, You know what I'm saying? When people even think about American culture, the white man may be the face, but everything he's doing is black. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, the way the vernacular, how people talk, and the fashion. You know what I'm saying? We took their clothes. You know what I'm saying? And then put some swag on it. We turned the baseball cap. You know what I'm saying, to the side or backwards. You know what I'm saying? You know, we took his pants. You know, made it fit a certain type of way. You know, we took his shoes. You know what I'm saying, and took off the laces and made it fly. You know what I'm saying? Like we always change things up. That's in our nature, right? It's because we're really in tune with who we are. And I just kind of wanted to basically elaborate on what do you think it is currently? Is it good? Is it bad? Has it gone in a decline? You know, things like that. I want to kind of get your perspective since you just jumped on.
Okay. So here in so-called America, there's never been a culture. It's been a manufactured culture. Now that's my word. You guys hear that anywhere else? That's Gold Professor. A manufactured culture. Okay. And what that means is, there are so many breaks in the so-called culture to where it remains fractured in every aspect of the word. And here we are as Black people forever trying to function in a manufactured culture. So therefore, we are taking parts of to try to make it work. It goes back to what you were saying. We didn't have the shoes, so we somehow got their shoes, and next thing you know, style came along with it. Right? We didn't have pants or anything like that because they had Black boys, especially everybody wearing dresses.
Yeah, facts. Okay. Go. Kid Cudi, we talking about you, boy.
I'm just saying, and even before that, they used to have them just run around naked. That's the sadistic part of them, right? Mm-hmm. Now the women had dresses, had clothes first, and then they decided to say, okay, we give the boys whatever, we have them wear these clothes that are made out of sacks. We let them sew the old sacks together, sacks of potatoes and sacks of stuff that they carried, tobacco with and whatever, and they can put them together and wear that. Okay. I'm just speaking to something, because we're talking about this so-called culture, which is a manufactured culture. It's a culture that's taken from everywhere else and put together, like the English language. It's pulled from here, there, and now we have a word that supposedly might mean something, but that can easily be changed in meaning, right? Mm-hmm. So, we deal in so many ways with these things, man. And I humbly say you have to be familiar, at least familiar with aspects of history. You may not know everything about history, but be familiar with some aspects of it. Because we know the saying, if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. Right?
Facts.
So, here we are, 2021, still dealing with a manufactured culture. But we strive to continually put things together, in which there's been a lot of money made off of what the Black man, the Black family has done. The style, the intelligence, the know-how, the charisma, I continually say we was built for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are mad about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
continuously mad about it, upset, and I spoke about a pattern. Now there's a pattern that has been in constant rotation, and that pattern deals with the black man. Now I've constantly said I'm not above reproach nor correction. I'm not above correction. Now, look, I'm just saying that there's a pattern when it comes to the black man, especially.
Facts.
Right? Now, the black man has always been the foundation of his unit. How do you tear apart a unit? Well, you take the man away from it. Right?
Yep.
I just say you have to be familiar with some aspect of history now. Now, if you take the man out of the unit, okay, then the likelihood of being able to control what's left in the unit is higher, right? I mean, if you have the woman there and you can control certain things that the woman is dealing with, I mean, because we know that she desires to take care of herself as well as her child, right? So if you cater to that, take the man out of that, and do everything to disrupt that man's mindset when it comes to, I refuse to believe that the black man especially, doesn't desire to take care of his unit.
Facts.
Okay.
Facts. Yeah, man.
He's always wanted to take care of his unit. He's always been the foundation of his unit. So I have this mindset to where, when we talk about the black man, I've said men have to build men. Okay. Men build men. Now, if you take the men out of that unit and then do everything that aggresses that man, the black man I speak of, and yet he still stands up, you have to give that man credit to him being the reality of what culture really is. There you go.
Facts.
Man, bro, man, yeah. Hey, man, you gave a good sermon, my brother, and you the way you deliver it too, man, it's just so smooth, man. I don't know if you're ever interested in getting into the ministries or something like that, you know what I'm saying, or counseling or you know what I'm saying. You got to get into some kind of field, man. You know what I'm saying, and do a pro bono. You know what I'm saying, because man, just the way you laid it and delivered it, man, was such a finesse. Gotta say that, bro.
Hey, I learned it from the bishop, man. got this church from the bishop.
I appreciate that, man. But you got your own flavor, man. You got your own flavor.
I've been to church a few times with the bishop. Been over there at the fifth benediction getting some education.
Well, praise the Lord.
Yeah. You ever see Don't Be a Menace? It's like the Mount Zion Ebenezer Baptist Church, the South Central.
That's all right. I had to drink the holy water at the bishop's place. I had to be sprinkled with some holy water over there at the fifth benediction.
Yeah, you crazy, bro. Hey, we got somebody new up on here, man. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Is your name Neophyte Barker?
Neophyte.
Okay, cool.
It's well, we already know what neophyte stands for. It's essentially beginner student. Bokor is I guess you would say a practitioner of African science. So, yeah, that's just an introduction. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you're bored real bad.
Thanks for letting me on.
Yeah.
Am I
no
bored
problem, bro. Yeah, it's just like staticky. I hear what you're saying, and I can decipher it. You know what I'm saying? But it just compared to us, it kind of sounds like you're borging, and it's kind of like crackling. You know what I'm saying? Like a little bit static.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna try something different and try to see if I can get a better quality sound here. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. Are you using your cell phone, your laptop? Because if you're using your cell phone, I find out that you have the worst reception with your laptop. I mean, not your laptop. I'm sorry, your phone. Yeah, your cell phone sometimes have the biggest issues because it drains the battery and all kinds of stuff.
How's that? I mean, because I am
I'm sorry?
driving right now.
Oh, okay. See, that explains it. You're better. You're better now. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna try that for just till I get to a better area. Thanks for having me on, fellas. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure to be here with you guys. I'm new to your channel, but I'm familiar with a few of the guys that are here now.
Salute, man.
Yeah, salute, man. You're always welcome, man. I'm glad you found your way here, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll let you have the floor to talk about the topic, the state of spirituality in America. You said you're interested in African spirituality and things like that. That can mean different things to different people. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good here, man. Everybody's welcome here. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, the only people that aren't welcome here is if you worship the devil. Like if you literally worship the devil, you on some little Nas X shit. You can take that somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you. So like I was saying, obviously Neophyte Bokor is not my real name. I just go by it because people on YouTube mostly are kind of weird, and I just want to protect my identity a little bit. Outside of this conversation, I'm more than willing to give my email address so that we can keep in contact on a personal level. I'm open, except for when I'm in the YouTuberverse.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my email in the private chat. So yeah, and feel free to email me. Anytime.
Yeah, copy that. But I am a truck driver. I've been driving for about 15, 16 years out here in this country, local and cross country. Right now, I'm cross country owner operator. But I also practice African spirituality, commonly known as voodoo. I do it proudly. I'd like to explain what it is that I practice. That way I remove the fear that most Black people tend to have with our own spiritual practice and science. So while I'm out here traveling this road, and I come across my family that's Black people, to be specific, I like to explain away all of the fear and anxiety from our practices, as best I can. I mean, some of us are a bit lost, but whenever I come across them, I try to let them down slow. I'm just trying to, I guess you would say, spread my ministry.
Yeah, and that's pretty interesting that you came on, my brother, because literally there was somebody in the chat when we started first having this conversation. I talked about the Haitian Revolution and how the revolution in Haiti was heavily influenced by voodoo. And voodoo priests were actually like the main inciters of the rebellion. You know what I'm saying? At first, they were like the first generals, actually, were the voodoo priests. You know what I'm saying? They organized everybody, told the slaves when they were going to rise up and all that stuff. And had all the ceremonies and whatnot. And somebody in the chat was talking about voodoo is the religion, and when in Africa, because certain region of Africa they have this superstition against albinos, and they basically some of the witch doctors in Africa kill albinos and for their bones and all this other kinds of stuff because their bones are supposed to be magical. And for my knowledge, at least to me, I never heard of them being voodoo like related. There's different denominations of African spirituality, and like African witchcraft, or is what some people call it as well. What's your take on that?
My personal take on it, and again, I say personal, is basically based off of history, right? History tells us that at a very particular time in Black history, African spirituality or religion, science, made it to these shores. Approximately the same time that it made it to the Haitian shores. Not to, I would say, kind of go into the divide between Haitian spiritual practice and Louisiana spiritual practice, because that is a misnomer in my opinion. There's a gap there of in history that we just not really paying attention to, that is political, that divides us up between the two factions, right? Africa obviously being the mother, but in every country in Africa, there is a type of spirituality amalgamated with the science. I mean, the oldest form that we know, or the most popular one, would be Kemetic science and everything, and how the Egyptians or Kemetics practice. But we already know that has an original source in southern Africa as well, right? We have to look at the geography and how it traveled before it comes over to these shores. And I can go on for hours about it, but to try to sum it all up is that the only divide is a white one. The only reason why we're afraid of it, the only reason why we have all of these mythologies, is because of the white influence that was forced on in different ways, forced on the different Black people that were essentially the backbone to their economy. The politics is what we're missing. The history of the politics involved in why we're divided, why there's such a divide between the cultures, but between the practices, the language barrier, let alone the politic. So when we're looking at like different mythologies that are thrown at us, why would Black people in Africa be afraid of albinos? Well, they already knew that white people were coming, and they were coming in force. They were coming to destroy stuff, right? So if you have a diviner or someone who practices a divination, and they're steeped in the history, they're the elders, then of course through the generations, there's gonna be some retellings of these stories. And if you're going to retell the story, it's important, like the Dogons, that you memorize it and tell it exactly. Otherwise, you're going to get some deflections or some changes in that story. So yeah, we got mythology mixed in there from other crap. Take like the Vikings, for example. They actually had an encounter with Black people and got their religion, their mythology, from their encounters with the Northern Africans. There's an obvious connection between their 7 gods and ours. And that's just the primaries. We're not even talking about like the rest of them. Just the 7 principles are based off of their 7 gods, which derive from ours. Prime example, Thor is Shanka, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go into detail about all of them, but I'll leave that open for everybody else to study on their own, to come to that conclusion on their own path. Me, I've circled these waters quite a few times, and I keep finding that whenever you see a mythological person from another person's culture, there's a direct link between that and the original, the original, which is Africa. Hands down, period, point blank, the end. There is no other argument. Africa is the answer.
I feel you. That's great. And so I'm going to add this, and I may have other guys, the other two individuals on the panel, to be able to like kind of interject and give their thoughts about what you previously have said as well. I totally respect your beliefs, and I'm in awe of this knowledge because I already know some of this. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big study of history. I actually study history like in not only self-knowledge but also academically, right? And it's pretty interesting how deep this goes in the history and goes. And even though I'm of a different spiritual belief than you, I always will acknowledge and pay homage to where my roots are. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I respect that.
In fact, so I'm a practicing Muslim, but the branch of and the type of Islam I practice is an African-centric one because, believe it or not, so it's like you said, the mythologies and stuff like that and how they change over time. And for instance, like you talk about the Viking and North Africans, right? You can look at the Bible, right? It's funny how you mentioned that because, look at how the Bible was changed over a period of time. And people in that region, you look at a movie, they look completely not like the people that originated there. You look at ancient Egypt movies, you know what I'm saying? Like the ancient Egyptians are white, you know what I'm saying? Or they're Arab. Those aren't the original people that lived in that area, right? They were heavily melanated people. And, Moses, all those people and stuff like that, Yeshua or Jesus and all these individuals, right? But of course, they get exported to Europe. You know what I'm saying? The Europeans have their take on it because it's the Roman Empire, this, that, and the third, right? Africa kind of gets overlooked also. Like, I believe that myself personally, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a black man or came from black lineage, right? And the reason I say that is because they admit that his caretakers were African people, and the first place they fled to initially was East Africa, Eritrea, Ethiopia, and what is modern day Somalia, right? And they were able to blend in with the people. So obviously the people were at the very least intermarrying within that region also, you know what I'm saying? So the branch that I'm really interested in is like Sufism, and African Sufism started in amongst these people called the Wolof, and the Wolof people are in modern day Senegal.
Yeah, the Wolof were essentially a warrior tribe. They were essentially they were a tribe of soldiers. So yeah, I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from. I understand that when you cross the Red Sea and you're trying to, I guess, flee tyranny to come to a sort of freedom to be able to practice the religion, you're going to encounter those people. My only debate would be, or not even a debate, more like a diatribe. My only conversation would be, to whom was that land ruled by? And I would have to say that was still an enclave of Egypt. What's known as Egypt. At one point, it was still ruled by the Nubians. The Nubians, or the Cometics, still ruled that area, just like how Rome conquered so much area and whatnot, and the Persians, they conquered all this area. That the different time periods have a kind of a blended history that gets kind of washed over or looked over. In a glance, it just looks like one thing happened, two things happened. But when you look into the details of it, and again, I go back to politics, the trade markets, the Silk Road. What did it look like? How were the people traveling? And what was it? What was the politic on being able to barter and trade with the different countries? Well, one of the requirements is that you spoke the same language, or you practiced a similar religion, or if not the same religion, in order to be able to trade. Otherwise, you were an infidel. We already know that this was like, something that was systemic in different religions: Catholicism, Christianity, Judaism, which I question Judaism and whether or not they were actually gypsies or not. But, that's just my personal belief.
Yeah, it even happened in Islam, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? We have a history of that too.
Right. I mean, what was their encounters like? What were their encounters like exactly? I mean, was it peaceful or was it hostile? From all of the outside accounts, it all seems like it was forced upon in order to bring peace. So it would be technically both warlike and peaceful at the same time. You can't have one without the other. But we always look at the peaceful part about it, like the peaceful side of Islam and everything. But we don't look at the different wars that were fought to not indoctrinate, but to spread the word of Muhammad.
Well, I would say this. If you look at the panel, you have 4 people up here, 4 men, right?
Word.
Okay, you have yourself, Neo. And before I go to build on this, I want to say, Zaki, you probably need some mods, brother. To
I put it. Yeah, I put it in the chat last morning. And see, this brother in on here, right? And this is why we can't have productive conversations. And that's why I created this space. I have my space. I have my beliefs. I have a brother on here that's a polytheist that believes in many gods, which is somebody normally that I wouldn't talk to, right? Like, I'm not in his spaces. I don't know any practices of voodoo, right? But I have all respect for my people. I have respect for the history of my people, and that regardless if I believe what he believes or not, it is tied into my blood. That's straight facts. You can get in your feelings about it if you want to. You can put all this Israelite stuff on there. I have respect for Israelites. My pops was an Israelite. I was raised in the Church of Yahweh. So you're not schooling me on anything. You're not schooling me on anything.
I just want to say, that's you have your mods to maintain order, so it doesn't detract from our conversation up here. So now you got to take time out to focus in on that. So I just humbly say, you probably have
I'm gonna make y'all mods, man. I honestly just haven't taken out the time to learn the framework of StreamYard and how to make people mods, this, that, and the third. But if anybody's gonna be mods, it's gonna be you guys. So
my mod is YouTube. That's YouTube. But anyway, let me continue on. I just wanted to say that, but let me continue on. Okay. There's 4 people up here. You have the bishop, you have Neophyte, you have yourself, Zaki, and you have myself, Gold Professor. Now listen. You have 4 different ways of spiritual being here. You have the bishop, who's more Christian. You have Neo, who is into the Voodooism. You have, if I may say that, and you have yourself, Zaki, who is in more of the African Orthodox Islam, right? If I may say that, you can apply correction if you desire. And you have myself, which, when you hear me speak, it comes from an Islamic perspective, but it has the characteristics of a 5% value, right? But what I'm saying is, Malcolm X said, hey, we can have a conversation about religion all day, But what is the common line here on this panel right now?
Spirituality.
Bert, I'm digging that.
Mm-hmm.
We're men up here.
Yeah.
See, that's the common line. We're gonna leave those religions, so-called, on the table, or off the table, and build on the men here.
Mm-hmm.
The perspectives of how we can, because the spiritual value is where we're at, not in the religions, not in the religious value. The spiritual value is where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
See, a lot of people don't get the difference between that.
They don't.
Okay, we want to build on the spiritual value, not the religious value. Because if we're speaking of a religious value, well, there's no religious value to be addressed because there's no value in religion. There's no value in it.
I agree. I agree. Like I would be more than happy to get on a panel, put my religion or my faith or whatever moniker you want to add to that, and put that down for a second, and talk shop about the fact that it doesn't matter what religion you are, it doesn't matter what faith you practice, your skin is black. That is what they're targeting. You will get shot without a blink of an eye because of what religion you are or what uniform you wear.
Facts.
That's the problem. They don't.
Well,
They don't. I'm gonna keep saying they. Look, you. It doesn't matter what it is that you're walking in. They don't like the fact that you are melanated. So everything that Malcolm was saying, everything that this brother just said right now, I agree with 100%. I'm not even like no cap. I'm with that.
well, I'm gonna just say,
Yeah. I mean, I think there's one thing that I think that is a good thing to talk about first and foremost, outside of the religion and whatnot. I brought up the Silk Road or earlier as a trade route, and coincidentally, China is actually doing that right now. They're trying to rebuild the Silk Road, the trade route, right
Facts.
now. I know this because I'm in the commercial industry. I'm a truck driver, and this is how I make my living. And then when I see things like armed conflict in Ethiopia and in Kenya's port being taken over by China, and then I go back and dig deeper and start to see that, well, China is pretty much making all of these contracts in all of these different places, coincidentally on the same route as the ancient Silk Road. And I'm like, wait a minute, time out. Put the religion down for a second. What are they doing? Is it positive or negative is like irrelevant. They're recreating something right up under our noses.
well, I'm gonna just say, when you're engaged in a spiritual battle against the greatest of all time. Now, I know somebody will say, well, who's the greatest of all time? The black man is the greatest of all time. Okay, when you're in a spiritual battle against the greatest of all time, okay,
Mhm.
you recognize his spiritual self is connected to the universe, and the universe is connected to him. Okay, well, how do you win that? Okay, the implementation of this spiritual warfare has been a long time in action. But when you're the greatest of all time, look at the panel. You have 4 men up here of different spiritualities, but we're still connected. How is it that we have a conversation about this? Are we warring with each other right now? Look, you have a Christian oriented brother, You have an Orthodox brother, and you have a voodoo oriented brother, and you have a 5% oriented brother. How is it that this warfare hasn't, been going on right here? It's because when you're amongst the greatest of all time, and you know you are, well, it's a different conversation.
Mm-hmm. And it always goes back to your knowledge of yourself.
Indeed. 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 Know who you are in the 9 laws of self-governance.
Mm-hmm.
Law number 7, know who you are. And in the supreme mathematics, 7 is equated to God.
The number of completion.
Hey, I'm just saying. Hey, look, you can't. How do you beat the greatest of all time? How do you do that? Okay.
You know what's crazy, brother? There's 7 days of a week. 7 days in a week. That's crazy to think about. How like the numerology. That's one thing I like about 5% brothers, man. I know some. Actually, I had a cat. The first person I met in the local area. When I first came here, I was looking for Muslim brothers to chop it up with, especially like black Muslims or melanated Muslims. You know what I'm saying? And I met this cat named Lukman. He used to be a nation in the Nation of Islam, but when a lot of the guys from the Nation left and formed 5% Nation, he was a 5%er. You know what I'm saying? And he eventually got a little bit more into like some other stuff, but he always was like dropping 5% knowledge stuff. And for instance, I went up to him and I would be like, hey, we give salams when we greet people. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, hey, why would we do that? He's just like, when you say hello to somebody, you know what you're saying. You're saying hell is low. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Hell is low. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he would even say, he would say, stop saying people that are the greatest of all time are the goats. I was like, why? He was just like, what's the goat? He was like, the goat, you know what I'm saying? The 666, the pentagram, upside down, it's a goat. You know what I'm saying? So when you say somebody's the goat, you know what I'm saying? Like you're saying they're Satan. You know what I'm saying? Satan's the greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would just say, we bring context to what we're saying, and, we as brothers up here, we can recognize the context of something being said. Because if it was out of context, I truly believe that there would be a correction implemented. I truly believe that. If I said something that was really against that, if we got into the religion conversation and I was going at y'all hard, and I was saying something that was incorrect, I truly believe that correction would be implemented.
Mm-hmm.
So it is about the context of what we're speaking to, right? It's about the context.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once again, there's 4 brothers up here, and I posed the question once again: how do you deal with the greatest of all time? Well, we up here. Plain and simple. We're up here. The greatest of all time is here, right now, in this space. We're spiritual with this. We're not religious with this. We're spiritual with this. See, spirituality goes far beyond what we think we know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's what it goes far. The core of you goes so deep. People haven't even touched the surface of their spirituality. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. When you
no, you can go and finish. You go and finish, brother.
When you're the greatest of all time, and this has been the black man since he's been here in so-called the Western Hemisphere, the so-called America. He's been the greatest of all time. I've said continuously, he is the epitome of justice. Now, prove me wrong.
Facts, brother. Facts, man. And you know what's crazy? I just thought about what we've been through, and even our oppressors, man. They admit like we wouldn't be able to survive what they went through. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's already mental illness and all these things that are already plaguing us as a community, granted. And every community is actually in America is kind of going through it, like a kind of a crisis right now, honestly, to be real. But white people, if you ever notice, like the brother on the bottom, Bakr, you said, voodoo is like science, right? We black men are the original scientists. We're the original philosophers. You know what I'm saying? We were ahead of the time. They still don't even know how the pyramids were built, right? So they still don't like. And when the white man went down to Africa and saw how old the civilizations were compared to their own while they were still in caves, they were shocked. They were like, "There's no way these monkeys." You know what I'm saying? That's what they thought we were. They're like, "There's no way these monkeys built the pyramids." You know what I mean?
I humbly ask the same question or the same statement. I'm going to render the same statement. Prove to me that the black man, especially here in so-called America, is not the greatest of all time. Prove to me. Prove it. Prove it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Prove it to me that he is not the greatest of all time. The whole world has witnessed the greatest of all time. Prove to me that he's not. I welcome that. Let's talk about it. Yeah, hey, I've had a lot of church over there at the fifth benediction. I just want to remind y'all. Had a lot of church with the bishop. I'm just saying. Putting it in perspective.
You telling the truth. Like who's the greatest of all time? They don't want to admit that, and even our it's so sad. Our women are getting blinded by the oppressor and allowing them to throw darts at us. Even within that, we still having children and raising our children, and despite they look at us like we're a threat. It's like whatever. We still gonna get up and do what we need to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well,
Yeah,
once again, look, when you have, because we're talking about the spiritual aspect, right? That's where we're at, right? I'll bring it back to that. Okay. When you look at the black man, his spiritual self has overcome. Now, when I say the spiritual self, I mean the core of him. Okay. The core, the word spiritual, the root word is spirit, right? The root word of spiritual is spirit, right? Now, when we think of the spirit, we think of the inner self. The inner self, the core of the self, which is the connection to the universe and the universe's connection to the core of the self, the inner self. That's the spirit that they're spoken of, So when we speak of that, and you look at everything the black man has been going through, especially all the way up to now, who is the greatest of all time? Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, man. You know what I'm saying? He's to overcome everything. Okay.
Yeah, brother. And you know what's crazy? This goes to Bishop's point earlier about the dynamic between man and woman, bro, because we need each other, bro. And one thing I like Bishop and brother AM, shout out to AM, bro. Every time I see AM, I personally will jump on a panel just to thank him for inspiring me to better myself as a man, as a black man. The very first space I ever got that was even a red pill related space was Anger Man. And he dropped a lot of game on me. He gets a lot of hate, but that brother, man, he's spitting facts, bro. And much love and much respect is due to that man more than he gets. And I got much love for him and the Masculine Mercenaries. You know, shout out to the Crimson Cure. You know what I'm saying? That sister over there holding herself honorably as a woman, as a beautiful Black woman, as a sister. You know what I'm saying? Probably wear her hijab too. I got much love for her. You know what I'm saying? And she got in the way. She, you know what I'm saying? She should be, you know what I'm saying, a mentor to so many of these sisters, bro, coming up, you know what I'm saying, losing their damn minds. You know what I mean? Real talk. And we talk about the end, you know, what's going to be the fall of civilization, quote unquote. At least, you know, me and, you know, the Crimson Cure's, you know, spiritual rule book, we were taught that civilization itself will fall when the family falls apart. And there's like a saying that when we have our equivalent of who the Antichrist is, right? We call him the Dajjal, right? When he comes, he's going to be kind of like a celebrity. Everybody's going to love him. He's going to have great fashion sense. He's going to be charismatic. He's going to be handsome. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be able to pull this girl, that girl. You know what I'm saying? And they said that basically his charisma is going to be so bad that you're going to struggle to keep your daughters and wives from running out the house to him.
Mm-hmm.
And look, right now we see the celebrity culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, and all this stuff. You got girls constantly running after this celebrity, running after this guy, you know what I'm saying? And they worship these guys. They worship these guys. And unfortunately, I'm not putting Street Brothers down. You know, this is no shade to any Street Brothers, man. My brother's a street brother, you know what I'm saying? I grew up in a neighborhood full of street dudes, right? But some of these dudes like pulled that same charisma. And some of these dudes, you know what I'm saying, unfortunately, you know, they don't have the best of intentions, right? You know what I'm saying? But you know what he's about. One thing I do respect about street dudes that are on the wrong path, they let you know what the game is. You know what I'm saying? They let you know what the game is from the beginning. So if you mess with this dude, you get knocked up, he leaving you, he dogging you out, he already let you know what the game is, right? You know, and that's what when you ever see those movies where like the devil comes up to you and you sell your soul to the devil, he let you know what the game is.
Hey, Zaki.
You know what I'm saying?
But let me ask you a question, brother.
Yeah.
You said, I mean, I'm asking for clarity. You said that it's going to be more like a celebrity. He's going to be a celebrity.
Yeah.
Could you help me understand what you mean by that? Because go ahead.
Oh, sorry, brother. So what by celebrity? It's not in the per se, like, you know how there's like TikTok influencers, social media influencers, things like that. It could be anything from like that to being like, you know, they don't have to be an actor or musician and stuff like that, but they're going to be involved in some kind of form of entertainment, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Pied Piper. You ever heard the Pied Piper, right? You ever hear that story?
Yes, sir.
He's going to be like a Pied Piper kind of guy. You know, he's going to come through and say, I'm going to solve you guys' problems. Just follow me. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to clean out all the rats, the problems of society. You know what I'm saying? The crime. And then people are going to love him, right? But, you know, he's going to say, hey, it's time to pay dues. It's time to pay the piper. People aren't going to be able to pay the piper. So what did the piper do? The piper ran off with all the children, right? That's actually a dark story. That's actually a heavy, dark, evil story. You know, that guy, the Pied Piper, takes all the children away and they never see the children again. So what the Pied Piper is also going to do is first he's going to start. He's going to get the woman, right? Because if there's no woman at the house, nurturing, taking care of the kids, you know, and things of that nature, who's next? You know what I'm saying?
Well, okay. Let's go to one of the oldest stories. And one of the oldest stories is the story of Jesus being resurrected and coming back. Okay. Coming back. Now, if we are to go into Jesus coming back, how do you think he will come back? Do you think he will come back as a celebrity or more so a poor righteous teacher?
poor righteous teacher, man, because he's gonna be hated because he's gonna be spitting his truth.
How
And
would
people
you
are gonna,
acknowledge him? How would you recognize him?
to be honest, we probably wouldn't. But he'd probably be a black man.
So my point is, you know, in the event anyone comes, and we do know, we've heard Elijah say he would be the last one. He said that, right? Now, everybody can have their perception of that, of Elijah and what he expressed, but we know historically we've had brothers come, right?
Mhm.
Now we've had them come. Now, I tend to believe that history will maintain itself again. It will do it again. It will be a brother. I would say that part first. It would be a brother that will come and walk in the shoes like Malcolm did, Elijah did, you know, as a collective. You know, they this is how it's always worked. Somebody come. Let's look at Nimsi. Now, Nimsi, if you look at his older videos, he was saying something in certain ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was saying things a certain way. You remember Pac, right? Now I'm just saying, God comes in so many ways and fashions, but he doesn't come in a celebrity sense.
Mm-hmm.
He comes to the poor. I mean, this is didn't Jesus come to the poor?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, what didn't Elijah speak to the poor? And I mean, he built brothers that were incarcerated and on drugs and everything. I'm just saying, if we're to say, okay, we're waiting for the next coming, it wouldn't be a celebrity. It would be one who is he would be so incognito. He just come out of nowhere. I mean, Nipsey came out of, I didn't know Nipsey until I got to really knowing something, listening to him. Pac came out of nowhere. Okay. You guys remember Nat Turner? How do we know about Nat Turner? Just a brother, you know, came out of nowhere and started putting in work. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This is how the spiritual self works, man. It's the core. It doesn't float into the popular aspects of it, because it's not popular to have that kind of spiritual energy. It's not. And therefore, they bring an end to that. Let's go to Jesus. Everybody know Jesus, right? What happened? What happened? Okay. What happened to him? All right. I'm just saying.
Can you hear me? Anybody hear me? I'm gonna try my headset one more time.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Go ahead.
I have just some stuff to add to it, because I have a lot of questions that I want to pose, mostly like rhetorical questions. I don't expect anybody to really answer it, but I just want to put it out there.
Okay.
About how deep the confusion is. What was the young brother's name? He just came up with that shoe with all those different symbols on it that's supposed to represent the
Lil
devil.
Nas X, yep.
Okay. On that shoe, on the tongue of that shoe was an upside down cross. Everybody associates the whole shoe with the devil. I have a problem with his understanding of the symbolism and the fact that everybody continues to not see any of these small details about it.
It's supposed to be
First
the
off,
there's the Ankh was before that. Is that what you're trying
The
to say?
uncle, no, not at all. Not even remotely close.
You
Okay.
got feedback. You got feedback in your
Yeah,
line.
you started getting feedback, okay.
No feedback. All right, hold on. Let's finish this real quick. Bear with me. Make sure
You
to
got, yeah, you got a lot
interrupt
of
your
feedback.
feed.
You got
All
a
right,
lot
how's
of
that?
feedback. No, it's still a lot of
Yeah,
feedback.
Hey, put yourself on mute and kind of try to figure it out.
Copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I would say, I haven't entertained. I haven't even. I tried to watch the video, right, of this dude, and I couldn't make it through the first minute.
Yeah.
I gave it 30 seconds, and I just can't do it. And it's not because of his position on the spiritual aspects of what he's trying to put forth. Now, I did a broadcast where I was talking about Nas. Okay, I posed the question. I said, are the powers that be trying to replace Nas?
Ooh.
Okay, because we know Nas, he hasn't been in the media like that, aside from his relationship with the woman, but they wasn't in the media hooping, hollering, tripping, and doing all that stuff, right? But essentially, Nas has kept a good reputation. He's made some good investments. He's been a famed MC. I mean, he's been productive. Now, historically, have we seen brothers subject to what I would call a takedown? Is it happening to Nas? Is what I'm asking. How do you get Nas? Listen. You have Nas, and then you have.
It's still pretty bad, brother.
Dude.
All right.
Yeah. And then you have Dude, right? Now, if you watch Dude, he's getting a lot of play. He was on, he's getting a lot of play to the point where now he got this video, right? The main thing of his name is the Nas part, right?
Yeah.
And I'm asking the question, is this a subtle to harsh aggression against the original Nas? Because we know that, when it's come to black men, there's always been a direction to put them in a certain place. We've seen that with Bill Cosby. We've seen that with R. Kelly. We've seen that with Michael Jackson. Do I have to go on?
Back.
I'm just asking the question.
Brother. To elaborate on that, I actually literally had this conversation with somebody I work with. I had to go drop off. I'm out actually on a medical leave. So, but I had to send an email, and I had my laptop with me. So I actually had to go to work to pick up my work laptop and then send the email. And there's an African sister that I work with, right? She's a beautiful woman. That's one of the most beautiful women I've ever done seen, bro. I'm telling you, man, chocolate Amazon, bro. Chocolate Amazon. Anyway, I was chopping up with Shorty, right? And so I was asking her opinion about the video, and she's like, and I can definitely tell because I think she's a Christian sister, but a lot of, and this is going to be honest critique I have for the sisters, bro, because they're really shooting themselves in the foot. They're the main supporters of dudes like him. They're the main supporters of that community of black men. Let me just say that, because I'm not trying to get my channel played. We already know what I'm talking about. Because they're the hairdressers. They're the guys that give them that validation. Oh, girl, you look beautiful, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. This is what it is. My older brother is of that community. So I already know what the game is, right? I already know what the game is. So she was just like, I understand what he's trying to say, because, he's kind of critiquing the fact that, conservative people say that and she's the word conservative, right? But, she didn't want to say religious people because, she's of the same religion as these people that criticize her, right? And that how could a loving God send people to hell for who they are, right? And she doesn't understand why that particular, and I'm going to say this, lifestyle is not, is frowned upon, right? There's an actual reason that historically, especially Black men, whether they be Kemetic, whether they be Voodoo, whether they be Muslim, whether they be Christian, whether they be Hebrew Israelite, hell, rather they even be atheist. That didn't fly in the Black community anywhere in the world, anywhere on this planet until recently. That you even have so-called spiritual and so-called religious leaders in the community petrified to even criticize that group of people for whatever they do. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well,
Can I get a mic
we
check?
know.
It sounds better, brother.
Sounds
I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let go, Professor. Go put yourself on the mute, and then you can interject after that.
Yeah, sure.
We know that. Excuse me. We know that this way of life is, people have been trying to impress this on the Black man, especially for a time. Okay. Once again, we have to be familiar with some aspects of history, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're to say we're going to familiarize ourselves with history, we have to familiarize ourselves with the sexual aspects of it. Now, the sexual aspects of it, meaning the buck breaking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, many people think, well, the buck breaking was just, beating the man and, making them do what you want them to do and showing who's in charge. No. Buck breaking didn't only include that, it included sexual acts.
Facts.
Okay. They had to go so far into, and I no pun intended, they had to go so far into the psyche of the woman. They had to do things that were unbelievable to that man, in which sexuality played a major role in that.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are with these things, which even though all that happened, it still didn't take like they wanted it to take. I mean, when you think about it, that community is not as big as people would think it is.
Facts.
The media makes it look like it's large
because they can't reproduce.
But in actuality, it is not as big as people think it is. And here, you have men, Black men especially, who still are like, we ain't riding like that. We don't rock like that. Okay, it's not a natural thing. Even though media and people tend to think, oh, it was born that way. Stop it.
That's been disproven. That's been debunked. Actually, if you brothers, I'm going to do a show about that, and hopefully it doesn't get flagged one of these days. And I'm going to send an email out to you, brothers. It's going to be called "Are You Born That Way?" And I'm literally going to go and screen share my search through Google, just asking that question, because I believe it or not, I actually did this randomly at work because somebody shared an article. This Muslim guy shared this on an article. Basically, and he was like, "Hey, I told you so, right?" But but I'm the bad guy. And he literally showed on Google the search results for "Are you born gay?" And all these scientific institutes, they did a study that lasted a couple of years try to identify the so-called gay gene. It doesn't exist. It never did exist.
Well, I speak of this aspect of it a lot. There's something called applied genetic imprint. Okay. Now, what is applied genetic imprint? All right. It is something that is not a part of your genetic code, but the imprint is placed there, meaning the thought. Okay. For example, if you start with a child and you let a drop of water drop on his forehead until he's up to 25, 30 years old, he will have that in his mind that the water is dropping, there's water dropping on his head. Okay. It's not part of his genetics. Okay. But mentally, his psyche says it's part of his genetics. I've always had water dropping on my head. It's part of me. Right? So that mindset, that applied genetic imprint, passes on to his children. So they tend to think that water's dropping on their head and so on and so forth. Yeah, there was so much mind thing going on with the black man and the breaking of him, the attempted breaking of him. Because they found that physically they needed him, so they couldn't break that aspect of him to the part where he couldn't build so-called America. They needed him to build so-called America, because if they broke him, they had to kill him. How do you have somebody build when they're not here to build, right? How does that work? So they couldn't totally physically break him. Okay. So they had to go into his psyche. They had to go into his spiritual self. They had to go into his emotional self. Right? They had to put things on autopilot for the program to work. There's so much, but at the end of the day, here we are, still the greatest of all time. Here we are talking about I take it like we're all heterosexual men here. Okay. So here we are today. Regardless of all that applied genetic imprinting, here we are speaking our man stuff, right? Because we on some man stuff over here. We love women. We know that women are a part of us. And with that being said, we carry ourselves as men over here that are against things that are outside of being a man. Now, people can say what they want, but at the end of the day, we do some man stuff over here. That's what I'm saying. And I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna go on mute because I gotta use the bathroom. You guys can take this conversation wherever you guys wherever you want it. I'll be gone for 5 minutes tops, and then after that, when I come back, we can do some closing remarks. I know I've been streaming for a whole minute, and everybody got stuff to do, right?
Yeah, appreciate it, Zachy. I'm about to head on out because I gotta set up some stuff.
All right, Bishop.
Okay.
All right, catch you brothers later. I
appreciate
brother.
Thank you. Thank you for blessing us with your time and energy, brother. Your presence.
No doubt, Gold P. I appreciate it, and appreciate meeting you too. I don't know your name.
Neophyte.
My bad, my brother.
Neo is fine.
Okay, cool. Nice to meet you, Neo. All right, catch you later, Zachy. I appreciate you letting me come up on here.
Hey, peace to you, Bishop. Man.
No problem, brother.
May God continue to bless you.
Part two.
No doubt. I'll be here for the part 2. All right,
sir.
catch you later. All right, peace.
All right.
I think I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to come in on that part 2 as well. I got a few things I wanted to try to interject on, if I may, if I'm not interrupting anybody.
Go ahead, Neo. Go ahead and build.
Because I'm gonna try to make it one coherent thought. I mean, because I tend to be scatterbrained sometimes in my rants and whatnot. So I would try to keep it structured here. If you can still hear me at all.
We can still hear you. Go ahead.
Now, I brought up that upside down cross as a reference earlier. No, I don't associate it with getting all that other stuff. I associate it with the exact person that it belongs to. We all know in the Bible that Jesus was not the only person crucified, put on the cross in the book. If I'm not mistaken, Peter was also crucified, but because he has so much reverence for Jesus, he didn't want his symbol to be associated with that symbol. So his cross is upside down. However, when he was doing it out of humility, that's why he had his cross is upside down. But whenever someone sees that cross, they associate it with the devil. They associate it with anything but the person who Peter was, which is like, to me personally, it's a kind of a grave offense to our intelligence collectively if we're continuing to take these symbols and not understand to where they come from. Where's the source? What is the actual story in the Bible where it actually tells you why that symbol is upside down? The scripture that's on the side of his shoe, right? What is that? Luke 10:18, right? I'm pretty sure we've got some people who know the Bible in the audience know what I'm talking about. But, behold, it's Satan fell from the sky like lightning, blah, blah, blah. Got it. All right. When we're looking at these reference points, what are they being used for? To what context are we using it? The story of the Bible. What's the story of the Bible? Who is Luke, first and foremost? When it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, what is their relationship to each other? How do they know each other? And what does the Bible say on that? What is the whole narrative of that whole story? And why is it still being taken out of context and used, appropriated as symbols for the devil? The pentagram. Literally,
Neo,
the
you kind of borging.
Tetragrammaton is Yahweh, which is the
Neo, you're borging.
Knowing these symbols, knowing the symbology is important. Borgen?
Yeah, you
do I have to repeat that last word?
You're going in and out.
Okay. Should I go ahead and repeat that last part?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
I think it's my directions are interrupting my feed. But hopefully that's done. But all right. The symbolism, the symbology, whichever term you want to use, I like symbolism. Is literally what our problem is. Personally, I'll just say that personally, I believe our understanding of the symbols and how they're being used is where our confusion is stemming from, and is causing our downfall. You got an upside down cross that everybody associates with the devil. That's Saint Peter. There's the failing grade right there. have the pentagram, which is the tetrahedron, which is the tetragrammaton, which is Yahweh, which is Jesus or God. There's another failing grade. We don't pass that one. That's wrong. We got the relationship between Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John as different books of the Bible, but these people also had a correlation with each other that should not be ignored. There's another failing grade that we're just confused at the history and the associations found in the Bible that will tell you exactly who these people are and make greater sense to what is the story trying to tell? What are these people trying to tell us in their stories? I mean, I get disheartened and I get discouraged when I keep hearing the same things over and over again, where we're trying to avoid the devil so much that we wouldn't recognize him if he came and sat on our face. If you excuse the reference there, that's a little raunchy. But I'm just saying, like, we wouldn't recognize him if he came and sat his butt on our couch, put his feet up, and made himself comfortable in our own home. We wouldn't recognize him. We wouldn't know the difference between the devil and God if he came and sat down beside us. Because we don't even know the symbols that are being used against us. Our faith has been turned into a superstition. Like we are the biggest believers and faith holders in the spiritual practice, but our spiritual practice has been turned into not just mythology, but it's been turned into just superstition. There's no other good word for it. It's superstition that we're practicing. We're not practicing good, intelligent understanding of what we're being taught or what the Bible teaches. And this is coming from a voodoo practitioner. I'm just saying, like, come on, people, please. Somebody's got to understand what I'm saying here. I hope I'm not going off the deep end. I hope I didn't jump off the building and expected everybody to follow me. I'm just saying things. Can someone please interject and let me know if I'm saying something that makes any sense?
Well, what I would say, I'm gonna give you some pushback, brother. I'm gonna give you some pushback.
All right.
Okay. I tend to believe that we do recognize the devil. Now, how he comes in, that's a different question. But we do recognize him. We recognize him through his actions. Now, if that man or woman, well, we're gonna keep it man. That man is displaying behaviors that are detrimental to the well-being of the self and others around. Well, couldn't we say that is the devil and true and living? Isn't that the devil?
In my personal opinion, that would be a shoot. That would be the trickster.
Okay.
I mean, that not the devil. The devil, from all descriptions in the Bible, there's no scripture that says he comes to collect souls. Who just doesn't even remotely give two craps about you unless you're like, I don't know, unless you've got the interest of God himself and he gives permission to come and mess with us in the first place. he has no interest in us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So once again, if someone has behaviors that are continuously enacting injustice, wouldn't that be the characteristic of the devil?
There would be characteristics of an evil person.
Okay,
I'm just saying
okay,
because, all right,
okay.
just not to create an argument or anything, because I'm enjoying this conversation really.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
from my understanding, our boys in blue tend to do the same thing, whether they're good or bad. They're still practicing the same thing. Now, the system that they're practicing, whoever created that, would be indicative of someone who would be labeled a devil.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So anybody who is practicing this same system would be subservient to a devil.
Okay.
So they'd be working for the devil.
Okay.
They would be devil worshippers if they continue practicing that. Same thing goes for those that would, I don't know, let's say, watch a Hollywood movie. Because it's the same thing. Technically, you're paying homage to, you're celebrating stars, which is star worship, which is, again, there's our reference for devil worship again.
Wow, I never really thought about that, bro.
The great confusion sits right in front of our faces and hidden within our own symbology to divert our attention from the thing that is literally punching us in the face every day we wake up as Black people. I can't stomach most of it. That's why I take so much time off from YouTube. I get off of it literally like I'm fasting from YouTube, because I keep going into deep dives and studies on just the symbology, let alone the history and the geography and anything else that would associate it. Just mathematical history, right? One of the great scholars, everybody else calls him great. I don't call him crap, but one of the great scholars that is used as a reference for the legitimacy of the Bible was literally a rabble rouser, a rebel, and essentially the same origin as to where you get the opening scene from Batman Begins, or not Batman Begins, the second one with the Joker, where everybody in his gang ends up killing themselves until there's just one person left. That same person, historically in math history, not just regular history, in math history, which ties into Greek, is the same person that most Bible scholars use as authentication of the Bible. I'm like, wait, what? Is anybody even considering the fact that this man managed to indoctrinate his soldiers into killing themselves, and it's recorded in history?
You're talking about Constantine?
No, not Constantine. I'm talking about Josephus.
Yeah, Josephus, he did the rebellion, right? In Judea, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Talking
that's
about
deep.
in Greek mythology, not mythology, but Greek history, the historian, Josephus, I can't think of it right now. I'm driving. I shouldn't even be on here really, but Latinus Josephus is a real weird, long, this name. Just look it up. Take my word. Matter of fact, don't take my word on it. Look it up.
No. It's familiar to me, man, because it's called the Second Jewish Rebellion, and that's when they burned down the Great Temple in Jerusalem. And there was a guy, I think his name was Josephus. He was one of the leaders of the rebellion. He was called a zealot. That's why when they say somebody that's crazy about religion is a zealot, the zealots were like a group of Jewish spiritual leaders that basically were tired of being disrespected by Rome, because Rome did a lot of disrespectful things to the Hebrews that and the Jews that lived there at the time. They tried to put temple, like basically their gods, statues, in the Great Temple, and that was like the final straw, you know?
Right. That was basically a political move. They were politically breaking the law. The law of the land states that you were supposed to be worshiping the God of that land, whatever land that you lived in. That was the law of the land back then. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. But according to that law, which is African law, you worship or work for the God or deity of that land. Romans were big advocates for that practice. These Jews came in and they were breaking that law, and they were just telling them, hey, you have to follow the law of the land. You're breaking the law of the land. You're out of sync with nature. What are you doing? They didn't want to follow that law, and they had these zealots that were making all these uprisings, and the Romans were like, okay, we got to put a nail in this coffin. And this Josephus was a informant, double agent, posing as a Jew when he was really a Roman, a Greco-Roman. I'm just
You know
saying,
what happened? Yeah, you know what happened? They say there's different stories about that, but it actually he did end up betraying them in the end. There's some that say he was Greco-Roman, and there's others that say he was a Jew that basically. So there was a battle that happened, right? And the Romans won that battle, and Josephus. The reason that there's that story of everybody killing themselves is he was like, hey, if the Romans take us alive, they're going to make us slaves and stuff, because Romans were terrible with that, right? They would enslave everybody. Roman slavery was honestly one of the worst slaveries ever that anybody could go through, right? They had gladiator games, sacrifices, all that stuff. So, yeah, he had everybody killed themselves, and he was the last one. And before he was about to kill himself, he became a coward. And because he had a friend that remembered him, he's like, hey, Josephus, I know you're down there, you know, or whatever like that. I'll take you alive, and you could save lives. You know, you could be a negotiator, so you could save more Jews, right? And Josephus decided to, not kill himself, because suicide is a sin. Actually, what the guys did, they didn't kill themselves. They had everyone kill them. Sorry, that's why I meant to say.
Kill another person, kills another person, kills another person. It's a mathematical equation that is one of those unsolvable equations. And essentially, the answer for it is the human psyche. What would a human do to themselves? This is where that comes from. But yet, this is the source for fact checking the legitimacy of Jesus' existence in the first place.
That's deep, man. I never really thought about it like that.
I don't want to like try to further demonize anything else. I'm just trying to state what is actual documented history when it comes to the people involved in the Bible, not just the story behind, like the story in the Bible, but the stories in the Bible were just one thing that may have happened. There's no dates that are reliable sources in the book. However, everywhere else surrounding that, these people recorded and documented events that were going on at that time. So you can put into perspective what was going on, what was transpiring in the world, if you step out of just the box that religious doctrination puts you into. I mean, if you needed a reason why you want to fact check this stuff, just look at the Jews or the Israelites what they claimed their slave job was. Their slave job was to, what was it? Making mud bricks to build temples of Egypt. I challenge anyone to tell me what Kemetic temple was made out of mud straw brick.
Mm.
I mean, like, what are we seriously like taking their word for anything? Are we taking their word on anything? Okay, let's say the Masonic Lodge. The Masonic Lodge, just to get off of the Jews' heads for a minute. The Masonic Lodge, one of their tools that is a symbol for their great society is the trowel. Why is it the trowel? The trowel is used as a tool to spread, not cement, but the mortar, is to spread mortar on the great buildings, the structures and whatnot. But they say they got it from Kemet. They got it from Egypt. Again, what building had any mortar at all? But yet these people are saying that their tools were the trowel. But okay, the Egyptians didn't have that tool. They had something beyond that. Why would they use that? And none of their buildings had mortar. Hell, none of the buildings in West Africa had mortar either. None of the buildings in South Africa had mortar. Not even the ones in Turkey had mortar. So these people and their lies that they indoctrinate us with, all you would have to do is just ask a question and then try to find the source.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Hey, so I know it's just me and you right now. We continue this conversation another time. I really like your perspectives, man. I wanted to create a space where people that are spiritually minded, regardless what their background is, can engage in some conversation to come together, man. Because, dude, like, you saw the trolls in the chat, dude. Honestly, much respect to my Israelite homies, but they gotta check their people, bro. They really need to check their people, bro. Some of them are off on tangent, bro. Trust me, I'm Muslim, bro. I go out of my way to check people that, I go out of my way to check people, bro. You know what I'm saying? So trust me on that, bro. I check my people. Everybody need to check their people, bro. Because if you're not one of their people and you try to criticize them, then they just say, "Oh, you're a disbeliever," and all this other stuff, right? And then so you don't want to believe.
There's always a name to be called. There's always some sort of moniker to throw at somebody, to label somebody as, because they are a non-believer, because they have questions. Like, again, since when did justice ever wear a blindfold? Right?
That's crazy. Yeah.
Christ, like, why? Like, the original symbol, she didn't wear a blindfold. She was not blind. Not even our symbolism, because essentially where they get those symbols from is still our spirituality, our science, our Kemetic even representations of the elements. Like justice is literally Saturn and whatnot. And I can go into it, but I know you got to end this up and whatnot. But just like,
oh yeah, no. Well, I got another dude here. Dirk McGirt. Yeah, he comes in under different names, but he comes in a lot. He's actually Eritrean. He's an East African brother, Greek Orthodox. Or actually, Eritrean Orthodox.
Tuato.
Sorry?
Tuato.
What?
Tuato means oneness. In our native language, in the ancient language of Giz, which comes from the Axumite people, or the ancestors of Eritreans and Ethiopians, is Tuato, but it means oneness. But Eritrean / Ethiopian Orthodox, all the same to us.
Okay, we're welcome. Thank you so much, brother, for coming on. I was gonna end it, but we can go for a couple more minutes, man, because I was actually kind of waiting.
You think I'm gonna miss it one of your streams, man? I'm gonna come by every once in a while.
Awesome, man. Sick, bro. I like that attitude, bro. So the man in the middle, he's a practicer of the voodoo. You know what I'm saying? Like the traditional West African voodoo.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, like Beninese voodoo? Or are we talking about like Haitian or Creole voodoo?
Louisiana Bayou.
Okay,
Just to
you're
be specific.
so I take it you're Creole, Louisiana Creole.
I have family who actually are Creole from Kentucky. So, but you would have to
Oh, okay.
know a lot about the history to know that Kentucky and Louisiana were essentially sister cities or sister states.
States. I see. Because from what I understand, in West Africa, in Benin, it is a recognized religion, voodoo.
Yes, that's correct.
Also, other traditional African religions are also practiced, like in places like Ghana and whatnot. You also have like certain spin-offs in parts of in the Caribbean, like there's Santeria. Also in Brazil, you have a religion like Candomblé, which is also kind of intriguing.
That's correct.
Very intriguing. My introduction to Candomblé came from the fact that I practice a Brazilian martial art called capoeira. That's how I came about
Capoeira,
it.
yes. I practiced capoeira when I was very much younger. I was practicing
Which style? Angola or regional?
Haitian.
No. Regional. I mean the regional, the ones where there's more acrobatics, or is it grounded? More on the ground, slow pace.
Oh, I'm sorry. I could barely hear you. It's more grounded.
Traditional Angola style. It's called Angola. Capoeira de Angola.
Yeah.
It's called Capoeira Regional. That's the one with all the acrobatics. Regional.
Yeah,
wow.
I called myself practicing that. We met up every Wednesday at church, at this church and whatnot. I got called the devil and all kinds of other stuff doing it, and I didn't give two craps about what people's opinions were. I was having my fun. These guys were really supportive. The love that I got out of that practice was awesome. So yeah, I mean, it kept me grounded. Literally, it kept me grounded. It kept me centered.
It was about the energy. It's about the energy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they call the music, the part of the circle where they're playing the instruments, they call it the bateria, or the battery.
Yes.
Because it's the source of the energy. Because they always say, like, when you have a capoeira game or a roda, you have to have the energy of the music and of the people in there is what determines whether or not it's going to be a good roda or it's going to be a bad roda.
Yeah, I was going through a lot of things at that time. My parents moved to another city. I stayed behind just so I could stay in school and whatnot. So I was moving from garage to garage, just trying to make ends meet and whatnot, doing part-time gigs, carpentry and whatnot. So yeah, I struggled through a lot of different things, and hell, it never ended after that. Struggles go on. I can go on and on about my life, but I'll spare you guys that story.
You don't need to. It's okay. You don't have to go too far. I mean, I'm very disarming, and I open people up like this. That's my nature. I'm in a path that way. Don't hold it against me.
I love that word. I don't necessarily gravitate to those that call themselves psychic. Only because I understand how it works. And when people say I'm empathic or I'm empathetic, then I can gravitate towards that. I mean, because that means that this person knows what the hell they're talking about.
There's a sincerity to that word when you think about it. Oh, hang on a second. Before I continue, Zaki.
Yeah, what up?
Ramadan Kareem, Akhi.
Oh man, Ramadan Bar, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that.
I gotta send some Ramadan cards. I gotta send some Ramadan cards to people because of it. Because I can't call everybody, so I gotta send cards and everything. That's what I do every year.
Word, dude, I really appreciate that, bro. Made my day. Thank you, man.
Yeah, well, you see, that puts a smile on somebody's face. You got to bring that positive energy around.
Sorry, bro. You should have been here earlier, bro. You should have been here earlier, bro. I wish you were here earlier because we had some trolls in the chat, bro. These are actually, I think, the very first trolls I've ever had in my chat. And this one,
it comes with the territory.
Yeah, there's one.
It comes with the territory.
Yeah. This one Hebrew Israelite guy was on doing all that. You know, the
Was he?
seeking.
Are you sure he was? Because sometimes a troll will try to use the persona of such individuals just to get your
Yeah,
attention, just
maybe.
to antagonize.
Yeah.
He said please subscribe. He has a channel and stuff like that, and he put the name of his channel. He's like, please subscribe to the channel too, and all this other stuff. He's like, you guys need to.
Oh, yeah, he was trying to poach you. He was trying to poach subscribers. He was subscription poaching.
Yeah, I
That's
pay no
weird,
attention
man.
to that. I give no energy to that. I ignore it on the highest level of it, being able to ignore something. I don't even acknowledge it as being an element on the periodic table. I mean, just nothing. It has no gravity.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. The brother in the middle, the wolf.
Oh, Neo. I go by Neophyte Folklore, or Neo for short.
Okay, Neo.
It's kind of a play on words, and for those that actually can catch the nuanced kind of joke that's in that, then I acknowledge those people. So it's
gonna take a while for me to try to figure that out. Excuse me.
Oh yeah. Please, by all means, dig into it and see how I made that connection. And it's actually kind of me humbling myself to my elders, those that are Bokor, who are Condomble, which are spiritual priests. I acknowledge my ancestors, I acknowledge my elders, and it's in the name as well. So it has at least 3 or 4 different meanings that you can take out of it. But the one that's funny is it's you'll notice it. It's meant to invoke research.
Invoke the thought provoking. It's supposed to invoke thought. Or like good. But it is what it is, you know. It's just we all talk about certain things like that, like spirituality, certain places help.
Right.
I think some people need to in tune with spirituality. The problem is like some people are not self-aware or self-actualized. That's another problem we have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's like I talk about that a lot, bro. It's just, and I get the modernity of things. We obviously we're using technology and stuff, and like my brother in the middle, he says, you know, he does African science, right? And science is not just these gizmos and physics and stuff. To me, science is magical in a sense because we learn how to manipulate the elements around us to serve our purposes, right? But see what happened was.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, science was hijacked by basically atheists or secular scientists, European scientists that basically hijacked a lot of ideas from Asian science, esoteric science, Middle East, Africa, all that stuff. They basically stole a lot of the knowledge from there, right, as the basis, because what they claim is modern science. The ancestors of modern science is Greco-Roman, right? Because that's the ancestor of quote unquote Western civilization, is the Greece and Rome. Even they copied a lot of the knowledge from everywhere else. I mean, the greatest library in the world was what? In Alexandria. Yeah.
Before it was destroyed, but then again, you also had the great library in Baghdad before that was like destroyed. Remember, at the hands of the Mongols?
Yeah. What's so funny about the Mongols? Them doing that is honestly one of the worst events that's ever happened in Islamic history. But funny enough, a lot of Mongols ended up adopting Islam. That's why you have the Timurids.
No, actually, that would be the Turk. No, that'll be the Turkic. There were Turkic tribes.
Yeah,
that was a Turkic tribe. Not Mongols. No.
So what happened? The Mongols conquered that region, right? Yeah. Trust me. I'm a big student in history. So when the Mongols conquered that region, the Mongols were animist, right? So animist.
Tangrius.
Do you know about animism?
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm here now. I'm locked in. I'm gonna press the subscribe button now.
I know about animism, dude. Yeah.
Wait, do you know about Tangriism?
Well, Tangriism is a form of animism.
Yeah, but that religion was like
It's kind of like how Christianity and Islam, you know, we're a family of the Abrahamic faiths, right? So
Tengri is like spirituality, like in like Native American or shamanism and stuff like that. Because
exactly.
It's not just a Central Asian steppe. You also find that in parts of Siberia and whatnot, because there's a lot of Turkic tribes in those regions who still practice it. But then but if you want to talk about like embracing Islam, you would see like in the Caucasus and parts of the Asian steppe, on the western side of the Asian steppe, like Kyrgyz Republic, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan. No. Tajik, I can't say. Sorry, wrong. No.
Tajikistan.
Tajikistan, but however, Tajik, they're Iranic people.
Turkmenistan, there's Turkmenistan too.
Turkmen, Kyrgyz, Uzbek, Kazakh, they're Turkic. Tajiks are actually ethnically related to Persians.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought Pashtuns, because your Tajiks live in Afghanistan too, and Pashtuns and Tajiks don't like each other.
That's that's an ethnic thing, because it's also sectarianism, because the Tajiks, for instance, are Shia Muslims as well. While you have also Pashtuns, they're Sunni. Also, another tribe who are related to the Iranian people who are Sunni Muslims are the Kurdish.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, let me tell you at least the history that I know, real quick. You know, so when the Mongols invaded, you know, Genghis Khan and all of them, they first invaded northern China, which was known as the Jin Dynasty, right? And the Jin Dynasty, they had a lot of people, believe it or not, that were also Chinese that betrayed them because they were oppressing these Chinese, basically these other Chinese ethnic groups at the time that lived under their dynasty. They actually joined Genghis Khan, right? They always make it out to like the Mongols fought everyone. Granted, they did fight everyone, but they had a lot of allies during the whole process, right? Because the Mongols didn't like traditional hierarchies. They valued nobility being raised from rank, being raised from you know, basically performing well in battle, not by where you were born, you know? So they defeated the Jin, and then they tried to move south, known as the Song Dynasty, but they couldn't, they had a hard time in the south because the climate was different. So they decided to move west, right? So they moved west. They missed India the first time, right? They missed India the first time, but they got into Samarkand. And basically, those people resisted the Mongols furiously. It's Khorasan. The Khorasan, yeah, sorry, it's Khorasan. And Samarkand was the capital, and they massacred these people, right? Because if you resisted the Mongols, they made an example out of you, right? And so they moved from there down south to modern day Persia and Iran, and then they moved down to west. They kind of stopped right before they hit Anatolia, and they kind of tried to go up to the Caucasus. They didn't succeed. So by that time, Genghis Khan had died, and then they had what was known as the Great Kurultai, I believe. And basically, that was when all the Mongol chiefs got together to decide who was the new Khan. So they kind of did a pause for a bit. And so all of Genghis Khan's sons argued amongst themselves who was going to rule. And there was a short civil war. And after the civil war, they decided to split up into different khanates. You had the Khanate in the east, and there was a middle Khanate that included Central Asia all the way up to what is known as the Caspian Sea and whatnot. And then there was the Western Caliphate, which included most of modern day Persia, right before the Caucasus and things like that.
You mean
and all these other, that and
Persia. Right.
And so they all fought each other, right? Eventually. I'm sorry. There was the Great Horde was another one. The Great Horde was from
the Great Horde, the Golden Horde, and a bunch of other hordes. They were like divided into different hordes. Because the thing was like the biggest question regarding ascension was the oldest son of Genghis Khan. His legitimacy has always been put into question, because when Genghis Khan had when he was still known as Temujin, when he married his first wife, bride kidnapping was pretty common among the Mongol tribes. So when he
actually still practicing with Tajikistan, I think, has a huge problem still with bride kidnapping. To this day. Yeah, it's a huge practice. Well, you see what they do? What they do is it's not bridal kidnapping, but basically the woman of a family, they find out who their son likes, and then they schedule a kidnapping. And
That's
so
Chechnya. That's Chechnya.
It happens. It also happens in the Turkic regions too. And the parents they'll kidnap the girl, and then the woman will go over. The woman of the family will go to her parents and say, "Hey, we have your daughter. She's really beautiful. My son really likes her. They should get married, right?" And usually it's kind of a strong arm tactic. It's like a shotgun marriage. You know, they're like, "We already have her, so we might as well get married." You know, it still goes on. Actually, it's crazy. I've actually watched a Vice video of it. I watched one actually be recorded. They record one of the ones happening.
That sounds strangely like some of the details in the Kama Sutra on how to deal with that, how to actually handle those situations, how to pick a bride and whatnot. That's written in the Kama Sutra.
Wow.
Really?
A lot of people think it's weird. Everybody thinks that it's like based on like sexual positions and whatnot like that, but it's a whole story. It's
about intimacy, understanding each other.
Yeah.
It's also there's like a compatibility. I remember what was it like in I remember watching the movie Mongol, which is like a biopic of Genghis Khan. When he was young, he was supposed to find a bride, right? He was trying to pick one. His father told him, like in accordance with Tango tradition, do not pick a woman who has large eyes. Because through her eyes, demons can enter the body and possess her. So the smaller the eyes, the better. Look at her feet, look at her hips. They can determine whether or not she'll grow up to be able to bear children and stuff like that. Weird things.
That's like.
Okay, so as the final note,
man, I haven't heard anybody actually touch on any of this sort of history at all until now. I mean, honestly, the only reason I stumbled on it is because the tarot that I was studying, one of my decks was the Karma Sutra Tarot.
Brother, do you have a YouTube channel by any chance?
What was that?
You have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel, but I can tell you right away, I don't post videos on purpose because people are weird. I swear to God.
I don't
people
blame
are weird.
Weird, dude. I'm weird. What are you talking about? Weird. You got to be specific. What are we talking about? Weird.
No, I mean like they have tendencies to like that reflect like the COINTELPRO. They go and dox you. They go and dig up information, put your information out there.
Okay. You mean destructive, toxic? You mean trolling behavior? Dangerous shit.
Yeah, I try not to use toxic as a term because it's popular and I go against what is popular all the time.
In my case, I have to use that term because because I suffer from a cluster B personality disorder, and toxic is the right word to describe certain people, especially the ones who are like parasitic in nature, like a narcissist.
Yeah.
Speaking, hey, I'm sorry. I'm moving
to the
Christian's toxic, but
let me cut in real quick. Let me cut in.
No, sorry, brother. Sorry, the Neo was kind of borging out. That was a problem. His internet's kind of getting full.
And I butted in. Sorry, I picked up a package from UPS and I'm unwrapping it. It's a bunch of clothes I bought, dude. It's some dope ass threads. So I was kind of perplexed for a little bit, moving some stuff around. But I was just gonna say this crap. Oh yeah, well you talk about narcissism. Actually, so yesterday I officially cut my dad off. Officially, we've always had a bad relationship. He was abusive to me and various other siblings, including my mother, right? And he totally. I tried to have a conversation about redemption and reconciliation and forgiveness. And he didn't want to hear any of it. So I decided to make a decision to basically, hey, I don't need you in my life. And, Islam teaches us to honor our parents. But I at the same time, I don't have to have them in my life. Like my mom's cool. I'm really close with my mom and everybody else in my family. my little brother's a fuck up, but you know what I'm saying, like, bless him. He's trying to do better, you know what I mean? So I love everybody else in my family, but like, dude, I can't tolerate people that gaslight, hurting people. You know what I mean? Like, for real, you know?
Zaki, I just typed in a name in the private chat for you. Since you were talking about narcissism, that I think that's someone whose YouTube channel you want to look up, because he is supposedly a psychopath and a narcissist, but he puts out very insightful information for others on how to protect yourself from narcissists.
Yeah. My dad's a complete narcissist. He only cares about himself.
Was he diagnosed as such?
No, because dude, mental health in the Black community is such a problem that a lot of people that might feel like they have a problem, they don't want to get that because you're viewed upon as weak and lesser than, especially his generation, But the way he carries himself, he's a complete narcissist. He's all about himself. Like,
there's a story I can tell you about some people, anecdotal. There's an acquaintance of mine. Her mother's Eritrean, her father is European. So you got biracial kids. What happened was like when the mother realized that the husband was when their mother realized that their father was a narcissist, she had to sever ties with him. That means she took the kids with her and brought them back to Eritrea. So they stayed for a while so I was interacting with some of them, but one of them, in hindsight, I realized had the trait of his father.
Wow.
He was exhibiting those narcissistic traits like his father. So I realized, and so they believe that there could be there's a genetic component to these disorders. I mean, they already found that, like, when it comes to psychopathy, there is actually a genetic component, but but there's also an environmental component. So it's not about a question of nature versus nurture, but how the two intertwine to create such an individual.
Wow, man. I really wonder that if one of the signs is, and then you guys can have whatever topic you like for a couple minutes, and I'm gonna dip. I'm just waiting for my phone to charge, and then I'm gonna go ahead out and run some errands. So one of the signs basically somebody that's afraid to try new things, because dude, every person I met that's a narcissist is completely unwilling to have an open mind to understand other people and their perspectives, and is completely has a lack of wanting to go outside their comfort zone. Like, they will never ever go outside their comfort zone for any reason.
It's a disorder where you are dealing with somebody who is completely disconnected from you. You cannot get. They are, first of all, by design, incapable of any empathy. I mean, you could look at it from a scientific standpoint. You could see that if you did like to put a brain scan through them, and the part of the brain that's responsible for like empathy, and also the amygdala, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for gut feeling or fight or flight response that we have as our nature, that has zero to no activity in the brains of narcissists and psychopaths. So you're dealing with somebody who is completely inhumane in their outlook.
I can definitely see that, man.
And like the difference that sometimes, and plus a narcissist, most of them are like, they don't realize they're narcissists because vast majority it's just subconscious. You're acting subconsciously, just like the vast majority of people are just acting subconsciously. They're not fully aware of what they're doing. I'm sorry, Neil, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, it brings to mind something else that's been bouncing around in my head. I'm curious.
Okay.
Really, could this disorder be artificially induced? Could you artificially induce someone into being narcissistic? Like a form of amnesia type thing. You know what I mean? Like an artificially induced amnesia. Because that would explain, like personally, that would explain so much of Black plight. Like, why can't we seem to get things together? Why can't we seem to get along? Why can't we seem to, quote unquote, pull ourselves up by the bootstraps?
Facts.
And it would make a lot of sense if somehow it's been artificially induced through some sort of trauma or otherwise, or some other kind of
No, because I
kind
would
of
say
way.
I
I'm
would
just curious
say-
because it fits the bill so well.
well, Neo, that's one way to look at it, but I would say you guys are also still subconscious through your subconsciously, not just African Americans, but you also look at this with Afro Latinos and Afro Caribbean people. I would say, like at a genetic level, whatnot, a lot of you, because you guys are a hybrid of so many people from the motherland who were brought here, who were brought against your will and forced to become a group all your own. You guys still have, I may say on a subconscious level, still carry some of those tribal animosities, those old traditional rivalries. So that could be like a way to
Right.
look at it.
Which goes into why I come to that conclusion, because when you dive deep into actual cultural identifiers,
Mhm.
Africans don't use the terminology tribe. Only
Or
the
ethnicity.
Greeks do.
Or
The
ethnicity, or
Greeks
mother
have
tongue.
that, and the Greeks have that. The Vikings, Romans, they had tribal terminology. Africans did not.
Arabs?
That's where I'm like trying to figure out. I mean, I had to dive so deep into that, my head still spins. The fact that these terminologies that we're using won't apply in the lexicon, let alone the understanding of tribal mentality.
Or ethnic ones? Because there was because you understand, like, you had certain groups who had animosities with one another, or entities.
Oh yeah,
if you
just
prefer. I
like
use the term
every other
entity.
nation and culture. Not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but just like every other nation of people that had their warring civil wars and things of that nature, political issues, just like you guys were talking about the Mongolians and their civil war, and the Romans had a civil war, the Greeks had a civil war. I can go on, but every culture had a civil war. But
I can look into that of my own ancestors.
Right. I mean, let's look at Vietnamese. The Vietnamese had a civil war because of basically they were allowing the Muslims from Morocco to come and dwell in their homeland or their island, and most of them took them in as brothers rather than to exile them like the other parts of the families, I guess you would call them, the groups wanted to do. And there's one of the reasons why the Filipinos still to this day, or the Vietnamese as well, they have these monikers of Islam in their history. Well, the Filipino army is still named after, has a Muslim name.
Yeah. There's still a lot of Muslims that actually live. It's called Mindanao. It's the southernmost about island in the Philippines, and it's always felt discriminated against. Yeah, southernmost. They've always felt discriminated by the mostly Catholic northern islands and stuff, and they want to break away and basically become like a part of Malaysia and stuff like that, as a part of like. Yeah, exactly.
Talk about the MNLF. Holo,
yeah, exactly.
Like the main city is Holo. I remember there was like in the 90s they had some kind of reconciliation and peace agreement. But then you had also but then again you started seeing separatist groups like Abu Sayyaf, and whatnot, because you remember and kidnappings and shit.
Yeah, and in Southeast Asia also there's two main Muslim ethnic groups, minorities that live there too. You have the Rohingya, which live in Myanmar, which was formerly Burma. There's currently genocide going on right now. They consider them non-citizens like the rest of the Burmese, and they're trying to kick them out the country and basically live in the western half, and they're trying to
Force them over
kicked
to
them out of their
Bangladesh.
villages. Yeah, into
Claiming they're
Bangladesh.
claiming they're Bangladeshi when they're not.
Yeah,
The other
exactly.
group,
And then yeah,
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to finally say another group is the Cham. The Cham, they live and they're Vietnamese related, and they are actually Muslims. For the most of them are Muslims. Some of them aren't, but most of them are Muslims. In fact, actually, they're considered funny because a lot of them still drink alcohol and stuff. So a lot of other Muslims kind of get mad at them, and they're like, "Hey, man, we're Vietnamese, bro. Like, this is what we do, and
That's hypocritical.
yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You ever heard? You ever seen the comedy? There was a comedy special called The Axis of Evil.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, it's basically a bunch of Middle Eastern Americans. You had two. There was Dean Obadallah and some hater. Both are Palestinian Americans. And in fact, one of them, his mother is Mormon, his father's Palestinian, so that's weird. Then they had Ahmed, who's a second generation Egyptian American, and then there was, of course, Maz Jobrani, the Persian. Ahmed had this one joke.
Jobrani sounds really familiar.
Maz Jobrani, he's an Iranian.
Yeah.
Jimmy Westwood, if you ever seen that movie. But anyway, Ahmed had this joke where he talked about how he went to UAE. Dubai. Oh, bye, Neil. Good seeing you anyway. Good. I look forward to meeting that dude again.
Yeah, he's great.
Very insightful. He's cool. But Ahmed had this joke where he asked the crowd, and it's mostly Middle Eastern. He said he asked, when I went to the UAE, I asked the question. I said, "How many of y'all are Muslim?" And then all the crowd was all ruckus, right? And then he looked at them and said, "Okay, how many of you are practicing?" A lot of them paused.
Oh,
a lot of them paused. And then hold on. And then the rest of the crowd, and he looked, and the crowd he was addressing, he was telling this dude, they laughing their ass off at the special. He said, then he looked at him and said, "Hey, hold on, first of all, look at it. Although you're Muslim, you drink, you gamble, you fornicate, you take loans, you do all the things we're not supposed to do, but you don't eat pork. There's some hypocrisy here."
Yeah, dude.
Of course, was it like some Muslims might eat pork, but it's like they say like.
Oh, don't get me started. Actually, there's a girl I work with. Not gonna dox her info, but I talked about her a lot in my last few videos. She's literally one of those kinds of people. Like, for instance, and I got super pissed at her a couple months ago because she called me out. She was just like, because there was a Christmas celebration, and I don't celebrate Christmas anymore. I mean, much respect to anybody that does, but I consider it shirk. I consider celebrating Christmas like the way that Western Christmas is, especially. I consider it a form of shirk, right? And we can't. Shirk is the ultimate sin. Like, we can get forgiven for anything, but if we if we know something is shirk and we choose to commit shirk, it's considered all borderline unforgivable. Like, that's unforgivable.
I never understood that term, really. I never understood that term.
Yeah, it was because it's considered paganism, or like a form of paganism, and basically you're associating partner with Allah. In the biblical times too, that was the ultimate sin, was
like the golden calf.
The golden calf and all that. Yeah, Moses killed all the people that had the golden calf and stuff. Like, that was like considered the ultimate insult. So I didn't do that, and she's very Westernized and very Americanized, and I'm Americanized too because I grew up in America. But
you're an American. No, you are American. She's Americanized. There's a difference.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, dude, I definitely, when I was just like, I actually made a formal complaint. I was like, dude, I'm a practicing Muslim. You guys forced me to attend this event. I didn't want to attend it. It was not mandatory whatsoever. And because I talked to leadership about that, and I talked to my leadership, they're like, "Hey, whoa, we're sorry, blah, blah, blah," because I could get them a lot of in trouble with HR and stuff like that. And they had a talk with me, the dude that sent me there, her and another dude that ran the section. And she was just like, "Well, you listen to rap music and you do this and you do that." And I was just like, I was trying to get a word in, but I could definitely tell, dude, she's a girl first off, bro, and her boyfriend worked there too. And you know, workplace relationships, how they mess up.
The gynocentrism.
Yeah, the gynocentric bullshit. Like, you know, oh, my boyfriend works here, and then they kind of set it up to like that. Like, oh, well, you know, work's gonna get hella awkward if you challenge me because you're gonna, you know, make me yourself look like an asshole. And I'm like, she's the one that challenged me in the first place. You know, I was just like, I was not even gonna like take it beyond that. I didn't contact her about this whatsoever. She went to attend the event, and she's like, it made me look like bad because we're of the same religion and this, that, and the third. I'm like, yeah, we're of the same religion, and you called me out. Like,
okay.
Yeah, I was like, well, let me finish. And I was just like, you called me out for being a bad Muslim. I didn't call you out for being a bad Muslim.
Yeah, you're a bad Muslim. I got it. You don't need to go into details. I'm just sorry. I'm just saying, it's like, you don't need to explain everything. I get it already. Sorry, I had to cut you off like that, but it's like, I get it. So I get the point. So I'm like, let's not go too far into this. You know, we're going too deep in this hole. Sorry.
Okay.
Hey, Neophyte, Bokor.
Sorry? Oh.
No, I'm looking at his name. Neophyte.
Yeah, his device is not connected, so he's having issues.
Well, I get the point. I mean, I don't eat pork. I'm not supposed to eat pork myself. Orthodox, Eritrean Orthodox, we don't eat pork.
Yeah.
And,
that's what's up. Yeah.
We're not supposed to, I guess. But
away, you know, because this is not going back to that. But the thing is, like, I hate when girls do that shit in general. It doesn't matter if it was religious issues. Girls are the ultimate hypocrites because girls, what they like to do is strong arm you and they force you to get into against the wall. And they know that they put you into a corner. And then after that,
why? Because they're going to be
you're going to have to bring out the toxic masculinity. What?
You have in a way, like, she has plausible deniability right from the bat. And you as a man will always be held accountable.
Yep.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, it's always about feelings. You know, it's all about feelings. And it's like, yeah.
Dave Chappelle once said this. If you ever get a chance, go onto Netflix, check out all his get on Netflix, check out all his stand-up comedy albums, his stand-up specials. Check out the one called The Bird Revelation, especially when he was talking about the whole Me Too and everything.
Yeah.
He looks at there's a white guy in the audience. He addresses him. He said, "Yo, man, it seems like you know everybody's against you, right? Like it's always your fault, right? But let's not forget, I'm held to a higher level of accountability. Don't forget who I am. Don't forget what I am. A black dude."
Yep.
So as a black male, you understand you are going to be held. That's the thing. You see the level of contempt in there.
Yeah.
You're held to a higher level of accountability, not because despite the fact, not because of they expect a lot out of you. It just is what it is. Hey, what up, Gold Professor? Forgot to give you a shout out. Much love, brother.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's for sure, man.
As far as the pork thing is, I tried. I went to the store a while back and I found something. It was like vegan pork. It tastes like pork, right? It's actually vegan stuff. It tastes like pork. Now, in my case, pork doesn't sit well with my stomach. I keep getting like outbreak. It gives me a bad reaction, especially like I get pimples around my mouth and whatnot.
Yeah, it's always did that to me too. Even the household where I was raised, we didn't really eat pork, and there's the only times I ate pork was we got pepperoni pizza, but that was it.
Oh, I stay away from that shit, you know. But anyway, I tried this shit. Also had some like vegan cheese to it, so I had like a vegan ham and cheese sandwich. No, it tasted all right. But got the same reaction, so not trying that ever again.
Yeah, man. So I'm
my
really,
body couldn't tell the difference. My body couldn't tell the difference because it tastes like it, and I got the same reaction. I'm like, all right, I ain't fucking with that.
Yeah. So, is there any last words, man? Because I'm getting ready to dip in a whole minute.
Just wanted to give everybody, just show love, peace, and love. Ramadan Kareem, all Muslims, to all Orthodox Christians. You know, enjoy your Lent.
What do you guys say?
And we still, a lot of us are still practicing Lent, and of course, at the end of the month is Easter for us.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, man. I would have given you a shout out, bro.
That's all right. We have two. It's okay for me because I always have 2 Christmases and 2 Easters every year.
Yeah, because I know the Orthodox, you guys don't celebrate Christmas on the 25th either, right?
January 7th, on according to the Julian calendar. That's been one of the problems with them, the Gregorian and the Julian calendars. That's why
Dude, that sounds like
the Red
that sounds
October
like
that happened in Russia took place actually in November because they were still following the Julian calendar as Russian Orthodox.
sounds like it'd be horrible if you lived in Europe, like in the old times, like, you know, when there were monarchies and stuff, because a lot of those monarchies were interrelated. Can you imagine, like, Christmas was super awkward, like if you were like the czar and you wanted to hang out with all the other kings in Europe and stuff, you know, like, hey, you know, we're not going to your Christmas, you got to come to ours though.
Well, Catholics and Protestants, Catholics and Orthodox have always had their animosities. I mean,
honestly, I'm more on you guys. I'm more on you guys' side. Honestly, I've always been a big supporter of Orthodox. Yeah, dude, Orthodox and the Coptic Christians always are cool.
The Coptics are, you know, one thing about the Coptics, unlike the rest of the Egyptians, they're actually the direct descendants of ancient Egyptians. I mean, Coptic is actually is a language derived from ancient Egyptian. Even the Coptic writing system. Know that. I remember watching documentaries on ancient Egypt. And they talked about how, like, you know, ancient Egyptians, they had the hieroglyphs, right?
Yeah.
But when it came to like the day-to-day processes and you know, the day-to-day and things like scribes and everything, they had a different writing system, and it's from that Coptic is derived from. There's a shorthand.
Wow, that's crazy.
A practical form of Egyptian.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up, dude. That sounds dope.
I mean, was it like I remember watching, was it like National Geographic about the Gospel of Judas? And that was an
that's deep, dude. That's deep. What do you think about that, man? You know, it might be considered blasphemous, but what do you think about it?
Well, there wasn't one Bible. There was just different Gospels at that time. So you look at it and try to understand who was right. Who had the right interpretation? Just like in Islam, there's always the argument between Shia and Sunni. Who has the right interpretations?
Yeah. And that's interesting. There's also a different, so there's another third branch of Islam that is from Oman. They're called the Ibadi or something like that.
Ibadi is the Arabic word. Oman is a unique place because they've tried to maintain neutrality. It's like Switzerland. They try to maintain neutrality and try to be friends with everybody just for their own importance, because Oman right there, they have always been like at odds with everybody. And they have a reason to be like that way. But they're kind of unique in their own way. But then again, Have you ever heard of the Ahmadi?
You're talking about from Pakistan?
Not just in Pakistan. You find them also in parts of Asia, other parts of Asia. I mean, the actor Mahershala Ali. He's
one of them. Yeah. Actually, the Quran I have is an Ahmadi Quran. I'm not Ahmadi myself, but the Quran my dad gave me before we had a falling out. It's a English translation of the Quran. It has the calligraphy and all that stuff, and it has subtext and basically markers in it for different dates and different events and explaining different verses and like the history of what was going on too. But if you look in the beginning, like the beginning, there's a footnote, like a prologue, and basically it honors the guy who founded that movement as being exactly.
He was a reformer. He was like, I think he was thought of as a reformist. I remember watching a documentary when they talked about the Ahmadi sect and how much they've been persecuted and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're not even. Some people don't even consider them Muslim at all, like whatsoever.
Yeah, you ever seen the Sufis? They're kind of cool.
I mean, I myself I consider myself a Sufi.
Dude, I remember meeting a bunch of Sufi Muslims. They're called Bayefal. There's a sect. You ever heard of them?
What they called?
Bayefal. It's a subgroup of. Okay, there's a group of Sufi Muslims like in Senegal and in the Gambia called the Murids.
Okay, That's cool. I'm familiar with one. Actually, they're called the Wolof. They call the Wolof, and they're around Senegal too.
No, Wolof is an ethnic group and a language.
Oh well, I talked to a dude that was from there. And he said like they're considered the Wolof people.
Yeah, Wolof people. That's a people. That's an ethnicity. Mouridism is a sect is a fellowship of Sufi Islam. They were founded by in the 19th century by a man named Amadou Bamba. They have a grand mosque in a place called Touba. And a subgroup of them are a group called Baifa because they were named after one of his disciples, Ibra Fall. And he was known to have like these dreadlocks. And the dreadlocks they have are like called niñere or strong hair is an indication of that they're members of this group. One man who I got to there's a musician I listen to. His name is Sheikh Lo. Hang on, let me type his name in for you because it's a French spelling. Oh yeah, still there. So I was listening to him, and his music is mostly in Wolof, but you listen to it and it's like spirituality just touches me because music has a way of touching your soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big debate in Islam. That Sufis, for instance, we actually appreciate music as being like a form of worship and a form of like a higher vibration that's like actually a spiritual, magical experience. But a lot of the exactly. Yeah,
because
a lot of the Orthodox.
I remember in KSA because I grew up in Saudi Arabia, and sometimes you ask them what's wrong. If you question some things, they look at you like there's something wrong with you. Like the old heads don't even take the time to explain to you why something is forbidden, why it's prohibited. Like alcohol, they have to explain why. They say because it is. That's not an answer. You got to explain to me what is wrong with it. What is it about this stuff? If you explain to me it's an intoxicant, it's a depressant, it's this, it does all kinds of negative effects, then I say, oh, I see your point.
Yeah, exactly. That's why people honestly, that's one of the main reasons I think more than anything. I think I'm gonna give you this. There's two main reasons people leave Islam. There's two main reasons. One is they have a problem with the theology of it, right? And they say, and they have questions, right? They're like, why do we do this? Why do we do that? And the old people, since they didn't try to educate themselves on a scholarly level or a spiritual level on why they do certain things, they didn't
the pragmatism of it.
Yeah, or understand the pragmatism of it, and then they don't know how to explain that to children. And then so their children are like, hey, I'm going to do my own thing, And then there's another one where it's a cultural thing. So let's say they grew up in a country that's a predominantly Muslim country. The majority of the people
cultural
there.
Interpretation has always been the problem between different places.
Yeah, exactly. And they move somewhere else where, let's say, they're a minority and maybe they are not around a lot of people that are Muslim. I see it all the time here in America. And they go to college and stuff like that and not hanging out with their demographic. They're more primed to pick up other cultural influences and just gradually, it's like usually a gradual thing. It's not like one day, I'm not Muslim, but it's like you first, like they stop praying. That's like the biggest sign. That's why, like, I really stress with other Muslims, like, hey, dude, praying consistently is very necessary.
No, you can't do that to them. That's not helpful. You tell nobody likes being told what to do. That's the problem.
The only thing is you got at a certain period of time, at a certain point in time, especially since I eventually want to be a parent, right? I understand.
I know.
Yeah, you can't
go like, no, it's time to go. You're like, come with me. Come on. Where are we going?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, if somebody's in trouble, you say, hey, dude, if you need help, let me know. But you can't force come on, we gotta get you out of this mess, unless they're like really in some really bad places. I mean, like, what was it? The other night, I was on like Officer Charles was hanging out, and we were talking about the whole the opioid epidemic and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I got pissed off when they were talking about methadone.
What about methadone?
You know what methadone is, right?
Methadone, they give it to addicts. It's not technically something that to get them high is just to deal with the side effects of withdrawal, essentially, because opiates can be deadly when you withdraw from them. They actually can kill you if you've been taking it long enough.
Yeah, but that's why I'm like, I was so pissed off about it because it's because methadone has become very lucrative, you know. But unfortunately, given the system over in the States, not that many can afford it right now because just like medical insurance.
Yeah.
So I got.
Dude, what's nice about the opioid epidemic is
I was pissed. I don't know. I was just so pissed off at them because it pisses me off that not that many are doing the research. Because when I mentioned ibogaine, they looked at me like, "What the fuck is that?"
I know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
And that's illegal in the States because of the FDA. Because guess who's running the FDA? Oh, we're going to conspiracies. Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't want to get. This is why I keep saying every black. You ever listen to Rockwell? Who's watching me?
Yeah. Classic.
That's everybody's. That's every black man's theme song at some point in his life.
That's a badass song. I'm actually gonna jam that when I leave. That's a dope song.
And that was Michael that was on the hook.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because Barry Gordy's son couldn't sing.
Yeah, well, what's their names? Laughing my fucking ass off. You know the guys who like every day I'm shuffling. They're related to one of them is his son, the other is his grandson, Barry Gordy.
Dude, Barry Gordy was like freaking having kids everywhere, bro. Like Bob Marley. Dude, he has a crap ton of kids, bro.
Huh?
Yeah, but like Barry Gordy had a crap ton of kids. It was actually a huge scandal in the 60s, and people kind of cut Barry Gordy. Yeah, like people kept it a
That's
secret.
the first time I said a crap ton. Yeah. You don't describe a bunch of kids as a crap ton of kids. Come on, man, that's wrong.
No, sorry, man.
Right.
I come from a big family.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. No, I come from a family with a crap ton of kids. You know, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's just like somebody made a crap ton of money. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's a crap ton of money. You know, it doesn't mean like.
Okay, you can say like a shitload of money, but a shitload of kids, I'm like, they don't sound right.
Yeah, people say they have like a shitload of fun. You know, oh man, I had a shitload of fun.
Oh, that yeah, you know? Okay, you can say a shitload of fun, but a shitload of kids, I don't know. That's just me.
Wait, what would you say? Like it could be considered derogatory if you said a bunch of kids, because people are like, oh, it's a bunch of kids, because a bunch is like a bag or something. You know what I'm saying?
He was having kids all over the place. You could say he's got kids all over the place. Just like Mike Epps once said, you know, I fucked up when he said, you know, he made a lot of money on Friday. He said, I fucked the money up. I fucked up the money, you know, especially through child support. That's worse than the
kids. That's so awesome, man.
I mean, who's worse? I mean, who's worse? You know, I mean, Mike.
I'm gonna take that.
Tracy Morgan when it comes to having kids all over the place, you know. Tracy don't want to put no condoms, nothing. You know, he said, you know, you ain't ready to die, you ain't ready to have that kid. That's why I don't wear condoms, motherfucker.
Dude, I don't know what's up with people from this.
Welcome to Dirty's comedy night.
Hey, Dirty man. Hey, I gotta go, man. It was wonderful talking to you, man. Hey,
it's good. Yeah, we gotta cut this out. I'm taking too much of your time. My bad.
No, it's all cool, man. You're welcome here anytime, brother, dude. Thank you so much, man. Well, let me know. Well, actually, Easter, dude. I'll hit you up and and wish you a happy Easter, bro. You know what I'm saying? And all that good stuff.
Hey, it doesn't matter as long as you catch it. I'll catch you whenever, you know. Anytime you ever see me, it's all right. It's all the same to me. Good to see you anyway. I'm just glad to see you going. You're still okay. I hope you everything I hope everything works out later on because I understand you're not fasting right now and everything, given the circumstances. But peace and blessings. Allah be with you all right. Allahu Mak.
Thank you.
Peace.
Allah Akbar. Yeah. Take
Allahu
care, bro.
Allahu Mak means Allah be with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do another stream tomorrow. I'll try to do a stream every day this week, so I'll see you on the next one.
Whenever you can, all right? Catch you when I catch you. One.
Later. Oof.